and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Leo Vader.
I'm pleasured and honored to be here.
And I'd be happy if it was just the two of us, but we got a couple of schmucks in between. We got a real schmuck sandwich on this table.
That's fine, too.
We have Joe Juba.
Hi.
Andrew Reiner.
I'm pleasured.
Why is everyone upset? Dan Tag.
It's great to be here.
Oh my gosh. And the full house can only mean one thing. Happy New Year! Ding dong, ding
He's
dong.
a jolly good fellow.
All right, we packed this table because finally we're going to talk about our top 10 games of 2018. One of the best years ever for gaming. Kicks 2017's ass, or maybe not. I don't know. I forget what we established earlier in the podcast. But we're all going to run down our top 10s. We hope that you, the listeners and viewers, are not sick of top 10s. Hopefully we'll find something new to say about some surprising games along the way. But by God, we're going to have fun, Dan Tech.
I really hope we... yep.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we're going to have fun.
All right, relax.
What's in here?
They're
Holy
not
cow.
They're not sick of our top 10.
That's true.
And we can promise that all of the games on our top 10 lists, these people will never have heard of before.
These are some really deep cuts because we're trying to be edgy.
Mm-hmm. And it's working.
And then after all of us go through our top 10 list, which will feel like 4 hours, we're then going to do... We said we're going to do it the week before, but we got to do it this time. Email of the year. Really ending 2018 in style. All year long, we've been tracking the greatest emails. We've been taking notes. This is the be-all, end-all to the best community member, the best email. We'll figure it out in that segment, Dan. It's going to be wet and wild.
Wow, I don't even remember any of those emails.
Well,
Yeah, wait.
we'll refresh your memory.
What's the prize?
Email of the year. They get a pin marking where they're from.
And it stays on there forever. All the other ones go
Forever.
away.
Is it going to be
That's
like
right.
gold?
I don't want to spoil it, but it might be gold.
Real
And
gold.
So Game Informer's official top 50 list will be coming out in the next issue of the magazine, but we can have a conversation about how that list went. Just in general, Reiner, how did you feel about the top 50 discussion this year?
It went pretty fast.
Yeah, it was
it
shocking.
seemed like there was a lot of games we were all nodding about, right? Like the first, I would say, 39 entries were very much agreed upon by most people on staff.
There's that fun push and pull of it starts to slow down a little bit too much, and then Andy was a big proponent this year, which I appreciated, of like, let's be aggressive. If someone has got something to say, let's get it on that list. We can always take it off. Let's put a little asterisk if there's a lot of debate about things on the list, and then you end up with Detroit Become Human with 15 asterisks, but it still makes it on there somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like that. Someone will give it an impassioned speech about why it should be there, and everybody's kind of nodding, and then one guy in the corner will be like, oh,
Right.
I completely disagree. And then it's like, oh, it's on. Here
Right.
we go. And then more voices come forward. And then sometimes we have to send people off to go play the games more to figure out if, we need more voices on them. And in the end, I like our top 50. I think there is a great selection of games. I don't want to spoil anything, but some of the big heavy hitters, but then some of the smaller things maybe you haven't even heard of are on there.
That's true.
Yeah.
There were some smaller ones that I didn't expect to make the top 50 that were just kind of like, oh, number 38. And we don't rank them necessarily, but typically works out where the way that we put them on the list, at least internally, it kind of goes in a somewhat natural order for how much passion and enthusiasm there is in the office for these different things. Also, all the top 10s are going to be in that issue of the magazine, which should be coming out real soon, Dan.
I bet there's something else pretty cool in that issue, too.
I think the cover story might be cool, too. That's coming up next week. But in addition to that, it's just like the little characters, dorks. There's so many good lists this year. Okay, our personal top 10 games, that's something we can dive into. Here we can be as thorough as humanly possible.
Ooh. Okay.
These are so hard to put together. You think they're going to be easy. Like the first half of the year, I worry so much about like, I don't know if I'm going to have 10 that I really feel passionate about. And this year in particular, it was like, I could have felt very comfortable with the top 20 where I will fight for all 20 of those games. And so there's so many interesting games that just didn't make the cut. How'd it go for you guys?
If you don't have 10, you can always like sort of cheat and put on some game of service stuff that you always
You
love.
disgusting piece of work. You can, I guess.
You can.
But
I didn't have to this year. But
yeah, this year I don't think I was even
I
tempted
don't think
by
that's
that.
cheating, though.
No,
If
it's
that's
not
one of your
well-
top 10 experiences of the year. It should be there.
It's sort of like your year in gaming in a nutshell. I think that's totally
I didn't
fair.
mean cheating exactly, but the spirit of
That's
the
the
list
word you
being-
used, man. That's exactly the
because
word.
if the game, if the list is,
I hear you, Dan.
if the list is like got to be, it came out this year.
But the point is, 2018 is so good. None of us need to. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, whittle it down to like the contenders. What were your guys? The number of contenders on your list? Do you think?
So this year for me, that was actually a little different. I feel like I still had trouble narrowing it down to 10. but I feel like I had a little bit of a smaller field this year.
Really?
Because I spent a lot of time playing games that were really long.
Oh,
I feel like this was a year of like still a lot of great games, but me spending even more time than usual with a lot of them.
more than 2017. Because remember, you had that murderer's row of like Nier and Persona 5 and
Yeah, but like Persona 5 and like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like those are long games. But like this year, I spent a lot of time with Valkyria Chronicles 4. I spent a lot of time with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I spent a lot of time. I mean, I have a Red Dead, obviously.
Hey,
like
don't
Both
spoil
Red Deads.
anything.
Both
Easy,
Red
easy.
Deads for you.
Oh yeah, I played both Red Deads this year. So
Jesus.
so this was just a year of a long play sessions for me. But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like in terms of real like contenders for my top 10, I probably had 15.
Perfect. Leo, do you have a way you try and trick your brain into boiling this whole thing down to 10? Do you have any little games or criteria you use for yourself?
It's tricky because this year I actually really only had 8 or so I was passionate about. And then the last 2 could have been a bunch of different things. But for me, I
Interesting.
just keep a list throughout the year of contenders. Keep an eye on releases coming up that I need to remember to play to potentially go on the list. But
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that because my top 8 were locks. Like I was like, this is the order. I know what it is. And then the last 2 spots, I think I had 30 games in contention
Yes.
there that I all wanted on that list. And those last 2 spots were the hardest for me to figure out.
It's so hard. The only way I could really gauge it, because like, how do you put some of these games against each other? Ryan, I don't know if you know this whole thing of video games is just absurd to try and compare these games. But I was really trying to factor in, like, how do you compare these 2 games? And I just had to really look within myself. I held up a mirror and I was like, which was I the most excited about at the time? Which was I like texting my friends about and drummed up the most enthusiasm and passion within me of like, yes, this is what I want from a game. Just excitement at the time is what I had to go off of.
for me, it's making the argument in my head of why it's special versus certain games you just play because they're addicting and there are lots of rewarding
Interesting.
emotions you're getting from it, from the
Yeah.
progression of it, versus this is actually a really compelling thing that game does.
I will not have you slander Forza Horizon 4 at this table before we even started, Leo Vader.
There's also a weird element of, for me anyway, of like proximity to a game, because like this time of year, I'm playing a lot throughout the year, but this time of year especially, there's a lot that I'm trying to burn through to inform like our top 50 discussions, this top 10 list and
Yeah.
stuff. So I try to be careful to not let the like, I just finished it and I enjoyed it, so hey, it's on my top 10. Like,
Totally.
Right.
there's an element of like, let's pull back and put this in perspective of like the whole year.
Going back, playing it a little bit again, trying to
Yeah.
remember what the vibe was.
Yep,
Absolutely.
exactly.
But outside of that, this is 100% science. I mean, this is as
And
concrete
final.
as you can get. What's that?
And final and can be used against us in court.
Yes, absolutely.
Or for
Hear
us.
ye, hear ye. Okay, so we each have 10. Here's how
Ring a
this is going to
bell?
work. We're all going to go around, right? Number 10, Leo will start.
For example, number 10.
Right, that's just for an example. We'll go around. Here's the thing. If that game's also on your list, that's your time to shine. You got to gush about that game then. Don't be like, well, Leo's number 10 is my number 6. I'm going to hold my thoughts on number 6 till I get to it. No, you let it all out there, baby. And then you
What
can
if
say
giving
your
away
number.
what position you have it at, though, based on how much you love it?
I think you might be, but keep the number. Keep the number secret.
All right.
Okay.
Got it, Reiner?
It's going to be a big mystery.
Keep the
With
number
Red Dead
secret.
All right, the number stays safe.
All right, Leo Vader.
Leo Vader.
I'm excited to have you on. When
me
like trying to
too.
figure out who should
Wait,
be on
he
this
just
whole
said
thing.
his 9 and 10 are just bah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that, but I like the
Go ahead,
best.
skip ahead couple minutes for the listener.
Oh god.
I like having you guys on because I always think of like when we talked about our 10 games of all time. I think Dan Tech and Leo Vader were just flabbergasted by each other's choices.
Oh, it was-
Leo
it
was
was
just
excellent.
spitting in his face essentially at every choice Dan made. I think is how that went. So when I think of these types of roundtables, I always think of you two, and I'm very happy that you're both on.
I'm
Not
glad.
that you two are chopped liver. You're also wonderful.
I
I'm
can't
also
wait to
chocolate.
hear Leo's amazing titles that he has in store for us.
I will
Number
say in
10.
hindsight about my 10 of all time, Blacklist would probably be higher. Like, I keep going back to that game. It's still amazing.
Okay.
Anyway, number 10 today
Yes.
for 2018.
Right.
A little game called Frostpunk. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great choice. Great choice.
I think
Now,
those. Go ahead.
I like this positivity.
Why'd you go with Frostpunk, sir?
I love that game. I love This War of Mine, the game from the studio that they did previously.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of a where do you go from here? They make games about dark choices, making tough choices and living with them. And it's the darkest possible setting for that kind of game. Just the world being completely wiped out and you being tormented by cold, having to choose whether kids or old people die. It's incredible.
You smile too much to be into dark choices. I don't understand.
I got to get it out somehow.
He likes killing kids and old people.
I wouldn't be so happy if I
This
didn't
is-
kill so many kids.
I get it. This is still that PC exclusive, The Sim, if you don't remember it. It's the darkest sim ever made. Realistically, probably.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's a lot of starvation. You're choosing things along the way, trying to survive this. How do they frame what's happening in the world?
It's set in the late 1800s, except there's a ice age that has rolled over the planet. And so you've got this big heat core, and you're building in a circle around it, and you're trying to upgrade it so the heat spreads further. So it's kind of a unique layout for a sim that way. You're building in a unique radial way.
Mr. Vader, follow-up question.
Yes.
Does playing that game make you cold?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You feel cold playing it. Yes.
Side
think
note,
you do.
you should watch the TV show Fortitude
Why is that?
because it's all about cold and sacrificing people.
Nice.
Same thing.
Uh,
Frostpunk's derivative.
This is also
Oh,
the
sure.
second time in the last week or so that I've heard Reiner recommend. the
He
show
won't stop
Fortitude.
That's why I came on. Now I can leave.
There we go.
Also, ice baths. If you've never taken one, Leo, I recommend taking it.
What about going outside in the winter?
Oh, better yet. Better
Okay.
yet. Very good.
I just saw the movie Atomic Blonde. That has an ice bath in it. I wouldn't recommend that one.
That reminds me. Number 10, Joe. What are you going with?
Atomic Blonde. No. My number 10 is The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit.
Wow. Little 2-hour shorty.
Which- yeah, and I feel like because of that and because it's tied into Don't Nod's full episodic Life is Strange 2, though it's also like a standalone thing, I feel like it's in danger of getting overlooked.
Yeah.
And I loved how that game focuses on the imagination of a kid. It does seem to have some supernatural elements to it later on, but really for the bulk of that experience, it's about this kid and his like hard life and his failure to recognize like how his relationship with his dad is messed up. But it also has this sort of Calvin and Hobbes like imaginative adventure kind of vibe to it.
Do you think that if that game did not have, no spoilers here, a little touch of supernatural in it, it would be any less or more loved? I feel like that is so superficial for why people really bonded with that experience.
Yeah, it is not like it's this short thing at the end, like a few seconds, basically.
Right.
So for the most part, like you are already invested or not invested in that situation before that happens. It doesn't,
Right.
for me, it did not color my experience of it. And in fact, like I enjoyed how, what's the way to say it? The way that the situations kind of tease you. They make you think that something amazing or supernatural could happen, and then it doesn't. Time and time again as you're going to like drive home the
Or maybe it does, people that haven't played it yet.
I mean, it's,
I know what you mean.
I don't think that's a spoiler.
I know.
Like, that's like expecting something extraordinary to happen based on no evidence that it ever will. you
Right,
know?
right.
So yeah, I just thought that was a sweet and like complicated game in a way that I wasn't expecting.
There we
It
go.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Great choice. Reiner, number 10.
Darksiders 3.
Number 10.
Darksiders 3. I adored that game, and I tweeted about it that I think I like it more than anybody else, any other critic out there.
More than Gunfire, I think. They ranked it third on their favorite list of Darksiders games.
Yeah, that game, I don't know what it is about hitting X at different timing intervals to kill things and do different combos.
I have
but
a lot of games you're going to like.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
man.
that's called video games. Yeah.
that is my kryptonite. Like, I just fall victim to that. And the perfect evasion in that game feels so good. Every time you execute it, you're rewarded well. You've played it. You know what I'm talking about.
played it.
Dan?
Yes.
Because Reiner would walk back into the bullpen and give a high and mighty talk about, hey, Darksiders, or I'm sorry, Mr. Dark Souls, man, you got to check out Darksiders.
And so I did.
And?
And, I'm 4 hours in.
Okay.
And it is fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Where is it on your list?
It is not on my top 10 list. But it was a very good year. And 4 hours
Number
in. I
0.
couldn't-
Yeah.
Reiner, I think that's a very good choice.
No, I think just exploring that game, it has that Dark Souls, Darksiders vibe, kind of both those games at the same time, and it's just a lot of fun, and I highly recommend people check it out. I know critics were harsh to it, or
Totally.
I guess they were kind of polarized, like all over the map. Kyle gave it an 8. I'd probably be like an 8.5.
Okay.
But yeah, if you like those first two and Dark Souls, check it out.
There we go.
It's Dark Souls to the point of having souls in it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And you lose them when you die.
Literal souls.
Wow. Dan Tech,
Hey, what's up?
wow us with something. Just wow us with something
right,
we've
sure.
never heard of before.
Blow my mind.
Well, that comes up a few levels, actually.
Oh.
You're going to get a wild one soon. But number 10, Thronebreaker.
Wow.
That's right.
I have not heard you say a word
So
about that.
I'm a big fan of sort of, single-player adventure card RPGs, if that's a thing.
and business is a boom.
It reminds me of this really old title, a Microprose Magic the Gathering title called Chandelar from millions of years ago, where you'd work up a deck and go through a Magic the Gathering adventure.
Chandelar from Friends?
No, surprisingly not.
Sorry.
I've always thought of Dan more of a Joey Thar.
There we go. I'll go with the Joey Thar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you get to go through this game, which is, you play Gwent, whatever. That's actually not that exciting. But the cool thing is
that the game?
The RPG elements tying into it in a fashion that's really satisfying. Like, you go make choices like, all right, I'll betray this guy, so his cards will leave my deck, and I'll get some new ones because of my actions in the game. So you really do get a completely different experience based on your decisions.
And there's a lot of resource management I didn't expect.
What?
Yeah,
Like you
there's-
have a camp, you're getting lumber and gold, and you got to recruit people. Like there's a lot of depth to that just outside of Gwent is such a small part of that.
Yeah.
There's like a huge progression system, like Rainer mentioned, where you're constantly choosing which cards to craft and unlocking new options for your deck and stuff like that.
That makes sense. I mean, I heard interviews with CD Projekt Red where they said that the Gwent team was like over 100 people, and I heard that I was like, what? For cards? It's impossible. I was shouting into my earbuds. But I like the idea that this is so much more fully featured than anybody expected. That probably explains it. Like it
So
is a
it's
team of
not-
super talented developers working very hard on this thing.
It's not to think of like you shouldn't think of it as like a card game RPG.
Yeah.
You should think of it as an RPG that happens with cards, like
Yeah.
the battle system with cards instead.
Wow.
It's much more of
Good
that.
pick.
Here's a philosophical question for you, Dan.
Oh yeah.
Why are you so into cards?
I don't know, because I grew up playing Magic the Gathering. Probably.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's
But did you play like a lot of Go before that? War?
poker.
Poker.
Yeah.
As a kid?
Yeah. My grandma taught me.
Nice.
Wearing a little bonnet playing poker?
You know what I like about cards is they give you so many more choices most times than you get in a traditional RPG for characters, spells, all that stuff. Like there's just a ton.
The only
your
downside
deck.
is their cards.
How is that a
I mean,
downside?
the downside for me is that there's like a random element to it, which I like. That's what turns me off of almost every sort of card-based thing. Is I like having strategies that I can sort of reliably implement rather than that element of chance.
Yeah. Dan, that is a perfect choice. I think you did a really
Why,
good
thank
job.
you, Ben.
For me, number 10. I feel bad because I had a version of this game also on my list last year, but
Here we go. I know what it is already now.
Is it Jackbox?
It is. It's totally.
no. This is the impossible. This is a new coat of paint on an old gem. Tetris Effect, ladies
Oh.
and gentlemen.
Wait, you had a version of Tetris on your list?
Puyo Puyo
last year?
Tetris made my list last year. I had so much fun with Puyo Puyo Tetris on Switch. I absolutely adore it.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
for sure.
Story just mind-blowing.
It's really fantastic. But no, Tetris Effect, it's so tough to take like, hey, here's a game you've played 6,000 times. The advantage is that it's probably the best game ever made, Tetris. It's tough to argue that it isn't, right?
Certainly a debate.
And I'm not even, don't tell anybody else this, I'm not really like a big Mizuguchi guy. Like, I've
Whoa.
never really gotten to Luminous. I
didn't like him when I met him.
He seemed very nice. But like I've tried to get into Rez so many times because like Joe knows, I love frequency and amplitude. I like music rhythm games, and every time it's like, I can't do it. But this experience I had such a good time with, and I love that it's filling that spot so well, like Amplitude did on PS4, which I know you hate, Joe, or weren't the biggest fan of. But just having a game on a PS4 that you can go back to time and time again, just play one wave, play through the full story mode if you want the full experience, just do a couple levels back to back. It's just such a good Zen experience.
See, Luminous Remastered
now.
also came out this year. Did you?
I
play
tried
that
it,
at all?
couldn't get into it. Because
Man.
it's just like, well, it's close to Tetris, but just give me Tetris at that point, which they finally did, and it's the best.
It's kind of the reverse for me. I played some Tetris Effect, and like I can see why people love it. People who like Tetris, I like Tetris though. But like, basically, I played a little of Tetris Effect and just was like, that's fun. I'm gonna go play some Luminous Remastered now. Like that's what I
Really?
wanted out of it. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if it's just nostalgia coming through in that sense. Or do you think Luminous gameplay holds up better than Tetris?
I think it does. For
Nice.
me, for me, I think Luminous is a more interesting block droppy game than Tetris.
Holy Lord. All right, maybe I need to go back for a third or fourth time and try Luminous a little bit more. All right, Leo, what do you got? Number
Okay.
9.
Just Cause 4.
The oddballs getting out here
Just
early. Way to go,
cause.
man. Number 9.
I've always been a fan of that series. I think this is the best one. It's so aware of what it is, besides the story, which we all know, we've talked about it 1,000 times. Story's dumb, cutscenes are dumb. But the fact that you're upgrading the tools of the boosters that you're grappling, the balloons that you can choose whether they just shoot into the air or you shoot them and they explode.
Yeah.
It's so creative. And they took away the remote detonated mines from Just Cause 3 because they're too easy. You can destroy anything with them. So now you have to be more creative and make this machine of death if you want to destroy a simple big red orb is what you're doing.
It sounds to me like you're recommending Just Cause 3.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
Just Cause 3 is good. Just
How
Cause
would you
4?
rank 'em?
Great. 4, 2, 3, 1.
Perfect. I feel like I want to watch you play that game more than I want to play it myself.
I have a lot of clips saved. I've been waiting to... Maybe there'll be something up about it by now.
Okay, all right. I hope so. That's a great choice.
Thank you.
Oh, a couple of oddballs. Joe Juba, number 9.
My number 9 is Shadow of the Colossus on PS4.
That's
Wait a
tricky.
minute.
Now, how do you handle remasters in your personal list? This isn't Game Informer's criteria, but the Joe Juba criteria.
I mean, my criteria is ultimately like part of the just original quality of the game comes through, but also like, do they make it fun to play again? Like, does a remake or remaster add something to it to the point that I want to play this rather than just put in the old version and replay the old version?
Right.
And for me, like I feel like the control scheme, like I wasn't wrestling with it in the same way that I used to when I would play that game, and like it looks great. I think Blue Point just did a great job making an old game look great.
They could literally not have done a better job with that remaster. It's just insane, the work that went into that. Outside of losing the pink grip meter. I love the pink. I wish they had an option to put that back on there. I know it's ugly and it takes up a huge chunk of the screen, but there's something, when I think of Shadow of the Colossus, I think that big pink dot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a case of nostalgia interfering with practicality.
100%,
Like
absolutely.
I think I agree with you. When I think of that, I keep looking for the pink meter. I think it's probably better that they don't have it.
You should have been able to switch between that and the old frame rate with the push of a button. That'd be cool.
That's a great choice.
That's what we really want.
God, it was tough because Shadow of the Colossus, you know, my favorite game of all time, even though I just said Tetris is the best game, but you figure out that math in your own head, everybody. But that's tough because like I love playing through that remake again this year, but it's like I don't think, just on the excitement level, that playing through that game one more time, even though it looks so good, cracked my top 10 excitement. But I hear you, Joe.
Yeah,
a good
I
choice.
feel like there's something about that new code on it that just makes it feel, I don't know, makes it feel fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reiner, number 9.
All right. I've been a big fan of underwater adventures, Terrors from the Deep, Aquanaut's Holiday.
Yeah.
But I think the best underwater game of all time now is Subnautica.
There we go, right?
Nice.
There we go.
And I think part of what makes it so fascinating and terrifying and just so much fun to play is that it's set on an alien world. So when you jump in
Yeah.
that water or go deeper or further out, you do not know what you're going to run into. And there are some really crazy things you see down there.
Sharks are scary enough. And just
Oh,
to
yeah.
add that complete random element of you don't know what's under the water, you don't know what's above ground, no spoilers, but just like that sense of discovery is so great.
Yeah, the game's fantastic.
I did get a kick out of the first time I crashed. I was like, oh, my shit, there's some big ship in the water over there. I should go check that
Yes.
out. And I swim for about 45 seconds before just some terrifying sea monster eats me.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I should not go there. Okay.
Yeah, that's part of the hook. And it's
Yeah.
like making progress, you know, figuring out like how to assemble things. There's so many great little elements to that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
So this game also made my list.
Don't say what number, though.
I'm not going to say what number, but yeah, that game sort of just I typically do not like those single player survival experience type of games. I like the multiplayer ones, but on this one,
There's so many out there.
it was so cool that it had like a story element to it, and that you could the progression felt really awesome, like going from like the little like thing that you just grab onto and propel yourself through the water. That's like fun, but when you get like the freaking submarine,
Right.
and you can really start moving around. That's some real shit.
Yeah. And just building up my base underwater, I realized one of the reasons I like this, like the most proud I've been of any in-game achievement this year is like my base in Subnautica.
Yeah.
I love that thing so
Yeah.
much. Just because, especially just the weird feelings you have in that game that I've never really had in another game of just struggling to go underwater. Like I love the idea. I don't know why this freaked me out so much, but building out my first base underwater, before I had like any oxygen pumps running down there. And you just build this base, and you walk in there, and it's just dark, and you're underwater, and you still can't breathe. It's like, that's such a gross feeling. But I built this thing, but I'm just dying in here.
Those moments where you're like, you see something, and you're like, oh, I want to go in there. But then you look at your air, and you're like, should I risk it?
Right.
Should I do it? I mean, that's such a powerful moment.
And
Love that game.
Yes, and the game's sense of discovery, the fact that it can overcome the very clear limitation of it's a game that's all about being underwater with a breath timer, which is some of the worst stuff in any other game, and somehow works. It's like the entire game was like a slippery ice level, but it's like, no, but this one's awesome, you know?
I've got a question about this game for you guys.
Yeah.
What would be your feelings on starting a game of this that does not have the hunger and thirst component?
You know, the hunger and thirst component is not really a huge factor in the game. You could start to ignore it very early on.
Well, maybe if you're super good. I'm not that good. So I don't know. It's a factor for a while. But I think it would lose some of the tension. I think the tension and the stories are generated from that is really the core of Subnautica, at least for me.
I think Subnautica strikes a really good balance by letting you, like I've played some other survival games that really press you and they make that a constant annoyance. But this
Fallout
one,
76.
It's there, but you're engaging with the gameplay most of the time, and that's just sort of there in the background.
Okay.
It's not something that's constantly on you.
As long as it's not a big restrictive thing.
Whose list was this on?
This was yours.
Oh, I think we'll get to it.
Well, I thought you said if it's on your list, you gotta say.
I see what you're
Oh,
saying.
you don't have to
Yeah,
say just your time to talk about the game necessarily. Yeah. Dan, what do you got?
Right. What are we on?
Number 9?
Artifact. A card game. Wow.
Interesting.
2 for 2.
Okay.
So this
Shuffle
is-
the deck, please.
So this is Valve's new card game. It is certainly one of the most cerebral card games I've played, and just super bold with this like, let's play 3 games in one kind of deal. You've got to be like factoring, well, what's going to happen in lane 3 on turn 5 if I do this in lane 1 on turn 3, right? And then got all these Dota heroes, and they actually feel like very flavorful to their counterparts in Dota if you've played that game. It's just really. It's a new and exciting thing. Everybody just tries to copy Magic or Hearthstone or any of those like those templates, and this one's just way out there. It's very, very. It's fun. It's a little. It's maybe
intimidating.
It can be. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. It can be a little bit.
Is that why you like it though? Because it is
for like the enthusiast card gamer who's looking for something that isn't just a clone of other popular games. I think it just hits it, and it's got really great gameplay for that person, and that's me. So
yeah, there it is. Great choice. Do you think it caught on as much as Val was hoping for?
No way.
Really?
There's a lot of factors that have made it just like it's taken a huge dip in numbers since release. Just because it's got the monetization system. There's lots of things you can like whack it with a stick about. And they're very justified. And I'm sure that the thing about Valve is though they're going to course correct those things are fixable. The actual gameplay, which is like the star, is great. They just need to fix everything around side of it.
Yeah.
Because this is the game that you basically pay money for, and then you have to buy packs like an actual card game.
You have to pay money to pay money. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Genius.
Sounds good.
VIP
Win-win.
club.
Neat. Because I think it's at like mixed reviews on Steam at this point.
Oh yeah, well the community certainly hates the monetization, and there's lots of other things too. Like there's lots of things that need to be corrected, but they've already started patching, and big improvements have already come online. So if they keep that up, I expect to see a turnaround in that respect.
Yeah, nice. Number 9 for me, it came out earlier in the year, and I thought like, oh, this is for sure making my top 10. Then I was really scared for a while that it wasn't going to make the top 10. Now it's gotten to a point where it's like, in terms of how excited I was finishing that, absolutely. Florence on iOS.
Yeah.
A simple little game. It's exactly what I've always wanted, which sounds effing
A
dumb.
nice relationship.
Thank you, Leo. Absolutely. But no, having real life emotions, really, you got a think piece about romance, relationships combined with, I don't want to overpush this analogy, but kind of like WarioWare mechanics. Just simple mechanics, work your way through it. That's all you need for interaction in this type of experience as you're working your way through the course of a relationship in that game. One of my favorite experiences of the year. I'm so delighted that game exists.
Mm-hmm. Incredibly realistic, but also fun and engaging. Just very grounded.
Yeah. Nice grounded relationship.
Yeah.
Great. Number 8, Leo.
Return of the Obra Dinn.
There it is. Interesting. Number 8.
That's right.
Why is that?
It's really fun. I think it's cool the way that game barely tutorializes. It gives you 1 or 2 lines when it introduces something to you, and then it's just you have to check again if you want to remember, but it's so much of it happens in your head, just thinking about what's being presented to you. It gives you the bare bones of this story, and you have to do the work of putting it together. It makes it very satisfying. The way you lock in things 3 at a time, That's a great feeling that I got this year.
Does the look ever wear off on you, or is throughout the entire game is it just awesome to look at?
It's always awesome. Occasionally, you're looking for little details of, is that the same guy I'm looking for? You know, you can't quite make out their face, but you can always hold right click and then it'll show them on the picture, so it's not that bad.
Okay.
But unbelievably beautiful, and you can't even, incomparable to anything else, the way that game looks.
This is also on my list.
Oh.
And I think it is just one of the most clever puzzle games that I've played since The Witness, basically.
Really?
It is the most clever puzzle game I have played since The Witness. Like, that there's something about, I think like Leo pointed out, its refusal to really hold your hand, I think is clever. It tells you about, like, it presents the situation to you that you need to identify all 60 people on this ship. And that sounds so straightforward. And then you hit a part in the game where it's like up until a certain point, you're kind of advancing to different areas of the ship. And then you hit a point and you're like, okay, well, I figured out everything I can. How do I get to the next area? And then you realize you haven't figured out everything you can. You can't get to the next area. And you just have to dig way deeper and look way closer at some of these details than you ever thought you would need to. And then that's how you start like piecing stuff together.
I was so dumb at that game. I was stuck without making any progress for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours of gameplay, just checking the same things, ready to give up. And then when I finally broke through, and then it got me going on this chain of 10 things I figured out.
Yeah.
Really incredible.
Shazam.
And you bring up the visual style. Like, I think what's smart about that is it has a cool style, like stylish look anyway. Mm-hmm. But it also is great then at establishing this sort of like fuzzy boundary between like details that don't jump out at you, like things that you have to look for and scrutinize, but are identifiable enough to make sense. I don't know if that's a clear way
I think
of
you
saying
got it.
But
Still PC exclusive, right?
yes.
At this time.
Do you think it could work on consoles or anything else?
Oh, I think it absolutely could.
Okay.
Yeah. And you look at this is by Lucas Pope, the developer of Papers, Please. That came to basically everything.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if that ever came to console, but it came to iPad or like iOS.
Right. Okay, something like that. Cool. Return of the
Obra Dinn.
Dinn?
Return of the Obra Dinn.
Okay. I heard a lot about a giant Doom monster in there.
That was what I thought was one of the best moments of the year.
Leo made his point known.
The story in that game starts seemingly like clear and normal and unfolds into something a little more
Unique.
It Captain Spirits itself.
Yeah.
Got it. Joe, number 8.
Ni no Kuni 2.
Oh, Revenant Kingdom. God bless you, Joe. Here we go.
And I think that there are a lot of criticisms that you can lob at this game in terms of it, like the story being a little too fairy tale-y. I think that there are things about the combat that like it's a little easy.
They patched in a hard mode.
If you want it, yeah.
Yep.
But despite all of that, like there's something about like that world, that art style, those characters that drew me in, and the whole idea of essentially your whole progression system in this game is just a town that you go out and like recruit people, do quests, bring them in, and that's how you get stronger.
Yeah.
I got so into that.
It sounds amazing. How haven't I played this?
Yeah.
It's on PC.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
know
good
it is.
PC port too, Dan. It's
All right.
very, very good. I'm completely
There.
with you, Joe. Just to nitpick a little bit. Like, I wish there was more customization in that town. I do. There's very few things in games more satisfying than being able to build up that town, but I'd like to be able to choose at least where a building goes outside of just it's going to be here, and you can choose who will go in there. They'll make it that much more powerful. But Joe, I'm totally with you. One of my favorite games of the year. It's completely fantastic. And
Is it on your list?
it is not. It did not make my cut.
Wait, that's not one of your favorites of the year. then.
Yeah.
It's so close. I need to call it one of my favorites still.
No, you can't.
No,
only have 10
Roland, I
favorites.
love you. Don't leave me. No, I'm completely with you. And especially with that patch of the hard mode, like if I probably would have played through it that way, and it wasn't just a cakewalk through that entire experience, I think it probably would have made my list. But absolutely incredible. And like the fairy tale front, I was waiting for more kind of sappy, syrupy JRPG nonsense.
I thought there was
suppose.
plenty of that in there.
I was never turned off from that. Like throughout that entire experience, completely with the story of the little kid. I wanted to go along in that journey. I was completely hooked. I was
Turned
never
on the whole time.
Absolutely. Have I not made that clear? Joe, it's a great choice.
Thank you.
Reiner.
Number 8
Yeah.
is on my top 10 list, Forza Horizon 4.
There it is.
There it is.
Excellent choice.
The racing game.
That's right. Just an open world experience that's, I mean, you hop in a car and you just drive around and have fun in the car.
That's
and they
it.
keep throwing objectives at you, whether you win or lose. They keep giving you more stuff to do, more cars to drive, houses to live in, which is really weird. Dance moves like Fortnite.
Yeah.
The multiplayer component's fun. Like everything about it, those guys know what they're doing. And in terms of open world exploration, they do something a little different. There really is no boundary, right? You just kind of go wherever you want, hit billboards, find hidden cars, stuff like that. It's awesome.
There's nothing wrong with a game designed to just give you a good time
Yeah.
every minute you're playing.
Yeah,
That's
whether you win or
fine.
lose,
Yeah.
it's like, here's more stuff.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
And on top of that, then having the dynamic seasons, which seemed like a little bit gimmicky out of the gate, but it is
Yeah.
nice every time I jump back into that game to just drive around a little bit more and have a good time. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it changes
that's
the
right.
dynamic of a race and what car you might bring into it.
Yeah,
What is your
absolutely.
favorite weird hidden car you got?
The little thing that looks like it was designed for Mr. Bean, like some kind of comedy caper kind of thing.
Nice.
And you actually need to use that to get certain billboards that are like hidden between like fences in a house or something. But just that little thing, and then having people like do races in that is hilarious.
Yeah. Just the best. I totally agree. Dantec, number 8.
Hey, number 8, a little game.
Oh,
Is it a card game?
Very little. It's not a card game. First game on the list. It's not a card game.
proud of you.
It's one called Deltarune.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So this is the Undertale follow-up, which is not even a complete game, but I'm picking it because it came out this year, and it's an awesome 3 to 4 hours, depending on how much you want to engage with it. It's just like Toby Fox's humor and charm they're on point. Like and seeing him develop the combat systems of Undertale and sort of take it to the next level with multi-character, sort of like a Chrono Trigger thing where you do team attacks and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Still using that heart grid to its maximum potential. Super fun.
Would you recommend people wait 6 years until this thing comes out in its full form? or
No,
just-
because the thing is, it's a complete experience. Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked it if it just like got to a point where it's just like, oh, and we'll see what happens next.
Right.
There's a full thing there from point A to point B, and you can play that through. Who knows like what this is gonna. If this is even just, like, who knows if there is another game that comes out of this, I don't think it'll have anything to do with this part of it, right? It won't be a piece of it. It'll be like a whole new thing. I don't know. Who knows? Not me.
It's a mess. Also, probably the only game on these lists that's completely free.
That's right.
Captain Spirit.
Oh, dang it. Yeah, good call, man. Great choice, Dan. My number 8, this one killed me to try and find the right spot for it. Dragon Quest XI. I had such a good time this year with both Ni no Kuni 2 and Dragon Quest XI. Not that it's like one made the list and the other one didn't, but by the end of Dragon Quest XI, it's like, I think this is the one that's going on my list. I think I enjoyed this just a notch above Ni no Kuni 2. It's that weird mix of,
You can only have one JRPG on
no, it's not. It's not.
That's what I heard too.
It's just a notch
That's not
above,
fair.
but there are
You can only
two
put
other
one on
games
there.
also
But
above
within that notch
Boo!
lives Florence and Tetris Effect. I really had to overthink this way too much, Joe, but that notch is a hell of a notch.
I think you misoverthunk it.
That probably is true. Dragon Quest XI, it's the perfect example of JRPG that feels like a throwback. It's basic, but not boring, which I think is such a tough formula for a video game to do, especially a JRPG. I've played so many, at least started so many JRPGs where it's like, I want to get back into this. It's like, oh my God, I just can't do this again. Dragon Quest VIII, not too long ago, the 3DS port was a great example of that. Of like, okay, whatever. But I don't know if it's just like seeing the visuals on the PS4 or on Steam, in my case, but just that enemy design from the Dragon Quest series brought to life in that way looks awesome. The characters at first I thought like, are they a little bit stiff? But some of those cutscenes are incredible. I think they're really well shot. They're more dynamic than I expected. And it has my favorite thing in an RPG, which is an evolving world. Characters change, they come and go, the world changes over time. It has like the same appeal that like Dragon Quest V had, right? Where you're slowly aging up and the world will change around you. Not to that extreme, but still Dragon Quest XI has enough of those little changes along the way where I was completely sold. And it's a lot of battling, it's a lot of combat, it's a lot of, you need to be a fan of JRPG grinding in that game, even though it's on the relatively easier side of the spectrum, but it is a lot of random battles. Still, one of my favorite experiences of the year. I had such a great time playing through Dragon Quest XI. And no, I didn't go to the super big ending at the end because both Kim and another friend of mine that did are like, you don't need to. But I liked having that bonus that at some point I can go back to because right after you beat the game and credits roll, it is a super interesting setup and I love playing through a couple hours of it. But when it got to the point of, you got to go on this mission and do this, then this and this, that's right. I checked out. I'll come back to you eventually. But 60 hours, I'm content with my time with Dragon Quest XI.
All right.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
Do I have your vote or not?
I endorse you.
Thank you, Leo. Number 7.
My number 7 is also completely free.
Oh, wow.
Fortnite.
Maple Story 2.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
No.
This is what happens when you get 2 video guys on here.
I love it. That's why they're on here,
Tell us
Reiner.
about all the big improvements over Maple Story 1.
It's 3D now, from what I've heard. I never played Maple Story 1.
Oh, okay.
I spent about a month playing nothing but Maple Story, and I had a grand old time. I was continually impressed by how many ways you can level up the full level system. You can get to max level without fighting anybody past the tutorial. One of my characters, I never fought anybody. I just built my house, which you get experience for.
Yeah.
I performed music in the town square. You can put your own MIDI files in. Me and my friends did a joint performance of Bob on Battlefield on stage and leveled up from it.
And what is the crowd doing at that point?
They're cheering. They're doing dance emotes. They're going nuts. It's incredible. Such
Really?
a fun,
That's a fun pick.
relaxing, just guilt-free experience.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question, though.
Taxhold is harder. Are you having a heart attack from that pick?
I mean, I understand where he's coming from. I played and enjoyed the game myself, but Game of the Year material, like,
Number 7 is the game of the year, right?
Yeah, Game
I
Informer
mean-
list.
Right.
somewhere down in the top, like 100 of the
Tack,
year.
how much did you play Maple
It
Story
doesn't
2?
even beat the top
I don't know.
15 card games. So
60, 50, 60 hours?
What?
Yeah.
Of Maple Story 2?
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of time.
He's rolling his eyes at Leo.
It's
That's how much I put into Dragon Quest 11.
It's
And I
an
felt like that was
He's
a
trying to
lifetime.
force his heart
It's an
into a heart attack.
MMORPG. If it would be an uninformed take to have played a lot less than that and be able to eye roll.
I will say also, the combat and the RPG stuff, very fun.
Okay.
Fun dungeons, fun co-op to do with friends.
I like that pick. It was out of nowhere.
You're selling me on this.
I
Leo.
love it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but
also,
Leo...
quick story. You can build your own house. You can buy land, put your house on land. I found, me and my friend were playing this game all night. It was 6 in the morning. We were walking around, exploring. I saw what I thought was an NPC house. So I walked into it. It was a player house, the most beautiful house I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
It was so
rob it?
intricately designed, beautifully laid out for both functionality and style. And it was just a revelation because all the houses in the town, I'm going to rant.
Please.
All the houses in the main town are just junk. They're boxes with anime girls on the side of it, and they're called waifu mansion,
Boo.
trophy farming,
Not in this
capitalist crap.
Yeah.
Right up my house, so it's the only one people ever see on the house leaderboard. But then me and my friend, we find this beautiful house in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So much love in that house.
Right.
It's called Lonely Hill.
Did you
Never
write
liked
it up so it can go on the leaderboard?
I did. I actually put a portal to that house in my house, and I went there and rated it up every day I played.
Jesus. Is this a case of you like the game? There's no doubt about it. I'm not questioning
No.
that. No. But you love your friends even more. It's just like you and your friends is like the perfect concoction. Like if Joe went in without a single friend in the world, would he be miserable playing Maple Story 2?
You'd have less fun for sure.
Right.
But
Wow.
because all the fun was I spent hours working on my house, making it pretty, and then inviting my friends over.
That explains why Dan didn't like it.
What was the name of
I
your
played
town?
it with
I'm lonely.
I played it with my MMO group of friends, so that's not true at all.
Maple
AI
Story
friends.
2. Beautiful.
My house was called the Smoking Tree, and it was a big tree, and you could go on the
Okay.
different. There was a nice tree house in it, and I had a tiny house, a doll house with a portal in it. So you go into it, and it's a portal to my friend's house. So his house is canonically the little doll house in my house, and you shrink down and go in it.
That's the most interesting thing I've heard about Maple Story 2. I love that idea.
It's so fun.
That's very fun. Joe, number
Cute.
7.
I have The Missing.
Interesting.
JJ MacField and the Island of Memories.
Yeah.
it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the big sweary joint.
Yeah. So Swery, the mind behind like Deadly Premonition and the studio White Owls, made this game that's a little bit in the vibe of like Inside and Limbo, a side-scrolling puzzle game. Got some physics-based elements, but like I can't say too much about why I like it because a lot of it's tied into a story and the way it pays off is really satisfying.
Okay.
But to sum it up, it's sort of the story has this theme of kind of like death and rebirth, and that figures into the puzzle mechanics because basically what you need to do is there are various ways for you to like die, burn, dismember yourself, and you use these mechanics to solve puzzles and progress.
Weird. The puzzles overall, scale of 1 to 10. How tough are these puzzles?
They're not super tough. I guess I'd say they're maybe in the 6-7 range in terms of difficulty. It's not, I guess where I'd put like Obra Dinn probably on like a 9 on
Okay.
that scale, right?
Yeah. This was such a weird game because I felt like I follow Swery on Twitter, and he's very bombastic. And it seemed like he was just banging the drum for like that cat RPG or whatever, where everybody in the town turns into cats that they're
His
going for.
Kickstarter or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like the missing just came out of nowhere, at least for me. Were you looking forward to it, Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My ear wasn't on the ground, apparently.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't something that I've known about for like a super long time. But
Yeah.
I think I found out about it earlier this year and was like, oh, I'm gonna play that one.
PC only?
No, it's on a whole bunch of things. PS4, Switch. Though I
Really?
guess I've heard weird things about the way it performs on Switch.
Right.
I played on PS4 and didn't have a problem. But really, if you like Inside, Limbo, like those Play Dead things, this is just a cool atmospheric platformer with a story that I'd say is a little more definitive. It doesn't end on this like ambiguous "what was going on" kind of
Yeah,
note.
yeah.
Like you get a satisfying sense of like narrative closure in a way that you don't necessarily get for a lot of the Play Dead stuff.
Cool. Good choice.
Yeah.
The missing. All right, Reiner. 7.
All right, number 7, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
There we go. There's the
Nice.
big dog.
There's I mean, all from here on in, it's just heavy hitters.
Bangers.
I missed it when they took a year off from Assassin's Creed. Like, I love playing these games every year, and they're such showpieces of iteration and technology and the scale, the scope, the state of being in that world, the combat. Everything is so much better than the last entry, and it's gargantuan. Like, I feel like I'm still going through it now, and I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface on it, like 80 hours in.
Oh, my God. That's
it's-
like more than one Maple story.
Yeah, it's just awesome, and I hope they come back next year with another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is on my list also. I think part of what makes this so strong is like the Assassin's Creed series has so many different elements. No one game can include everything that everyone associates with Assassin's Creed because it's so sprawling at this point. But like,
Yeah.
they found a really good balance of hitting some of the important things in this one, I think. From like the naval stuff, the exploration, the way, like the upgrading, the combat, the modern day story. like-
Choice.
Oh, and yeah, adding in like dialogue and choice. It's this interesting mixture of like familiar things, new things, all in like just the right ratio. I did have a problem like the progression feels throttled to me in it. So it's the sort of situation where if you want to do the next story quest, you may have to like just do random unrelated quests for several hours before you hit the level where you can tackle the next.
They really
the
wanna
next
push
I
you
guess
to the
I've been
world.
doing that though.
Yeah.
So I'm not running into any roadblocks.
See,
but I have that
it's-
problem with the last game.
I hear that from a lot of people too, and I guess like I understand the like, hey, I like doing everything in those games, so it's not a problem for me. But there are times when like I like doing a lot of things in those games too, but there are times when I just want to do the next story thing, and it's
Right.
frustrating when it doesn't let you do that. But I found myself going back to that game and playing a lot of it even after review, because like once you hit level cap, that progression stuff isn't a problem. You're at level cap, so then you can just like go out and like tackle some of the more like high level content. And
Yeah.
I had a great time with
I-
it.
Post-release stuff too. Really cool.
Oh yeah.
I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Stealth action is one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite.
Like
And the way-
Blacklist?
like Splinter Cell Blacklist, for example. The way that they brought it back to the series and the way you have to think about it, it's a really unique stealth system because you are focusing on gear that's going to make it viable to one-hit kill people, which you need to do. You can't just, it's not handed to you the way it was in earlier Assassin's Creeds.
Huh.
You have to really focus on it, and for that reason, it feels way more rewarding. Not just focusing on it in the gear, but in smartly combining your abilities. And the way I was able to focus completely on a hunter playstyle and be completely stealthy, taking people out from afar, one-hitting people that I should not have been able to one-hit, just leaders of settlements gone
Yeah,
from
yeah.
one. I shot one of those arrows that the Predator arrows.
that you can
control in the
control?
air,
Yeah.
and I just shot it over the wall of a base and guided it down into the leader and just took out.
That's
the
how
leader
physics
without even-
work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
So is this on your list then? Is that
It's definitely.
Oh, yeah. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
say so.
I love it.
Dantag?
my 7's already been covered. It was Subnautica, but I do want to say something about Maple Story real quick.
Hell yeah.
I did have a lot of fun playing that, especially the Halloween events. I got my little undead.
Do you want to look into the camera and apologize to Maple Story?
I'm not, yes, I'd like to.
Or apologize to me.
Yeah, sure. You got it.
Thank you.
I had a lot of fun with it.
I'm glad to hear that.
That doesn't sound like I'm sorry.
It just seems like such a weird.
Just say
it
you're
is.
sorry, man.
I'm not sorry.
Sticky situation. My number 7, also Subnautica.
Wow.
Damn, we're buddies. Wow. Leo, number 6.
Maple Story 3.
The Revenge of Tag.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Whoa.
Ooh, hey, ooh.
Easy.
Internet is rumbling.
Gonna try to remain calm.
Leo, I heard that game wasn't very good.
Nobody in this office likes it besides me.
Wait, there's stealth action.
Exactly.
I
They
see
made
a
it more
theme.
stealth focused.
Okay.
It's a dream come true. I've
Put
loved those
mud on
first 2 games.
yourself.
Yes.
Big mistake.
Loved it. Combat's still fun. Doing the tombs, there's so much content in that game that's completely non-violent. Being able to put traversal on hard and not have your hand held the way it has been in every game where you climb for the history of time.
Yeah.
I'll rap for you. JP style. It makes exploring so much fun. Climbing is engaging and thrilling in a way it never, ever has been in a game for me.
Leo, question.
Yeah.
How many cutscenes did you skip?
3.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. So you're that level of Shadow of the Tomb Raider fan. Like, forget the story completely.
I don't think it's as bad as people said. There's the part where it goes off the rails I liked, but I think, the story, you don't play for the story.
Okay.
It's really, it feels great. The way jumping still feels good in those games. The level of control you have,
Yeah.
I think it just controls great.
Would you be okay if it was like 4 years before Lara came back?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
It's not like you're craving, like, don't stop now.
No, that's fine. There's DLC coming too, right? Or is it out? Because I can always play that.
All right. That works. Juba. Number 6.
Yeah, we talked about it. AC Odyssey.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Reiner, number 6.
Number 6 is Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
There it is.
Or should I say Blackout? That is pretty much all we play.
Correct.
It is my favorite Battle Royale game to date.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the other ones as well. Fortnite, we play it quite often. But
Realm Royale,
this one,
rest in peace.
the gunplay mechanics that they have developed over the years just feel so good. And to have it in that experience is just, it's godsend. It is so much fun.
Yeah, and I know that, the hardcore crowd is still arguing about control, specifically the fact that they mapped everything so beautifully onto a controller. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And like, yes, it's PUBG on consoles. That's fine. But hey, it's the fun of PUBG on consoles. And it plays well, And it's
frame
like
rate.
frame rate.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I've had it dipping a couple times in Blackout recently, which is shocking. But it's like a good lesson in, you know what? At times in the industry, there's room for iteration. Iteration alone, it is a beautiful iteration of Battle Royale.
Yeah, and just some of my favorite moments gaming with friends came from that game this year. Just hunkering down in the grass with sniper rifles, or just, like holing up in a house, having all of your guns pointed at one door, waiting for someone to come in. Like, it's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about it all the time where I finish a match, usually the number 1 spot. That's not true. I've never won. I've never won any Battle Royale, ever.
Wait, of all the PUBG you played, you never came out on top?
Never. Also, a ton of Blackout. Never. Never. But anyways, my point is, after every match, I sit back and think about like how many emotions I had during this match compared to the average multiplayer match of anything. It's still just, I'm not sick of Battle Royales. I want these to go on forever. This is all I want to play for multiplayer shooters.
Well, that's the pull, right? Like, it's like, oh, I placed 4th. I'm going to do it again. I bet I can get higher than that. And you just keep going for that number 1 spot.
Have you ever placed 4th, Hanson?
What's a 4th?
Numbers get that
Top
low?
90.
Yeah. But also, just a shout out there, because it's easy to get obsessed with, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. I have the most fun, probably to my friends' lament, the most fun, don't forget to dick around. Have some fun every once in a while. Just play this game like a madman. Hey, sometimes it's fun to dick over a friend and throw a grenade at their feet when they're in the bathroom. Like, that is a good time to shake it up. Remember, everyone's there just trying to have a good time and have some laughs.
We
It's
had
a
a
viable
guy.
strategy.
We had a guy bring a 4-wheeler into a house and just like
Yes.
ran us all over on
That's
our team. And
great.
it was like we were laughing our asses
Yeah,
off.
you got to
but-
do that stuff. Otherwise, you'll get in that grind of like, how could I never? There's 100 other players here. Why am I not winning every time? It's like, no, that's a fool's errand. You got to just have fun out there. It's the adventure that counts, right, Dan?
Shockingly enough, this is also on my list.
Of course it
and,
is.
Yeah, I agree that dicking around is a lot of fun. Not throwing grenades at your friends, but trying fun stuff.
You
like,
dick in your way, sir.
we've tried all kinds of like crazy helicopter like ambushes and other weird stuff. Like that's always fun. Just like you start around and be like, all right, well, we lost one of our guys. We got 3 now. What do we do? Let's just get on ATVs and try to run some people over.
Just never stop honking. Let's just see how far we can push this
right.
thing.
Sometimes it's crazy. Those missions that you try to fail, you end up in the final circle.
That has happened to me many times. Yeah,
It's crazy.
There's times where we'll be, like I'm saying, laying in the grass, holding my breath with the sniper rifle, looking in windows of a house that we just approached. And all of a sudden I hear like my friend doing the emote for selfies. You hear the snapping of the camera or like the funny festive Halloween music as they're throwing out candy. It's like,
the candy throw
you
is
were
really
going to
good.
get us killed.
Yeah.
Candy throw is really good.
You got to do it. And I like to have seen that map at first where it's like, okay, this map seems fine. But now it's to the point where we've played so many matches. It's like, oh, there's memories associated with almost every area on this map now. And I love that map.
And
I
they
think it's
keep
great.
adding
It's
to
great.
it. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Even though, I mean, the boat's a mess.
The boat's a mess,
just
but
a
it is,
complete
it's a new
Astro.
spot. You know what is cool, though? The new car.
You like that,
Yeah,
really?
oh yeah. Especially since I only play squad pretty much. So
Yeah.
having that turret and that armored vehicle is...
I heard the turret was pretty wimpy. I haven't even fired it
It's
yet.
pretty wimpy, but you got to figure, like, basically the only point where you're going to use that turret is, like, on the drop, right?
Yeah.
So before anybody even had a chance to loot, you can hop on that thing and take somebody out.
Yeah? Great choice, Reiner. The best choice.
Excellent choice.
Oh,
Fantastic.
nice. Congrats.
What is this, number 6?
You bet.
Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk.
Okay. There we go.
No one's heard of this one.
Is that a
Let
real
your
thing?
freak flag fly here,
I
buddy.
think they've probably read the review on GameInformer.com.
They should have read the review on GameInformer.com. It is a JRPG in the style of a old school dungeon crawler, so like the sort of a wizardry-like, if you will. So, you know...
I've heard comparisons to like Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah, that's an apt comparison.
'Cause you
Very
love
good
Etrian
comparison.
Odyssey?
I do love Etrian Odyssey as well. So
Okay.
this is an old school, like hardcore super boss dungeon
Yeah.
crawler, where you get to multi-class and change your puppets. Those are your characters. You can like
Puppets?
mix. They're puppets. Yeah.
Huh.
So you're like a puppet master who animates these puppets.
No wonder you're into it.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, totally.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so you can class change and do all kinds of crazy stuff with that. There's tons of development. It can be very grindy if you want to do the additional end game stuff, post game, which you should because it's awesome. Just like giant bosses, crazy like dungeon mapping. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's rare to see these style of games anymore, so you gotta kind of take your Etrians and stuff as they come, and they're not that pop, you know. So you gotta, this was a really great one.
That's great.
Definitely one of my favorites.
The name one more time.
Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk,
And what's it on?
PS4, PC.
Does that name make perfect sense to you, having played the story?
None.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, Dan Tech, I don't want to look at your expression when I bring this one up.
It's okay. I mean, look at the bomb I just dropped.
All right, that's fair. Number 6, in terms of favorite gaming experiences of the year, Jurassic World Evolution. I had such a good time. The best Jurassic Park game ever made. I don't think there's even
I agree.
anything close. And also the idea of taking like a sim and making it play so well on a controller to the point that I'm playing on PC, I just prefer to play with a controller at this point. I think it controls really well overall, much better than I expected going in. That was my biggest worry about that experience. And like, you know, when bringing it up for like the top 50, old Andy McNamara, I mean, young, hot Andy McNamara, he was one who was like, it's just Jurassic Park. You just like the movies, so you want on that list. He's like, what if you took the license out of it? And I think we made the case. Reiner and I were locked arm in arm.
We were. That's
about
Right,
like
back
look,
to back Army of Two style.
Exactly. We'll take every last one of you. Like, you can't take the license out of it. That is absolutely part of the thrill.
Yeah.
The fact that they nail that license so well, fulfill every fantasy basically I've had of building up a Jurassic Park experience. I just had such a good time with that game this year.
I agree.
Thank you, Reiner.
You mean
Would
to
you
tell
give
me
that
that they
Dan
couldn't?
Tech? A 7?
Somewhere in the 7s, yeah.
You mean to tell me they couldn't call it Dinosaur Park and have it be the exact same game just without like Jeff Goldblum in it or something? And then it.
I wouldn't play it if Jeff Goldblum wasn't in it. No, absolutely not. I think it's a very iconic thing. You want the T-Rex, any T-Rex in any
islands.
fiction to look like something. Yeah, the fact you're jumping around the 5 deaths. You want the sounds. You want all that stuff. You want to be able to have the little goat experience without just thinking, oh, they're just ripping off Jurassic Park. Like, you can't make dinosaur fiction without having it naturally compared to Jurassic Park. And just be
Right.
able to use all those assets, the best.
Well
Best
said,
show.
Hanson.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Leo Vader, number 5.
Yakuza 6. The Song
Wow.
of Life. I love the changes that game made to the franchise formula. The new engine, the new combat was pretty divisive in the office, I feel like. It's a lot more dynamic. You're really throwing people into objects and they're bouncing off of them in a very physicsy way, and I found it very compelling. I love knocking people over with bikes, knocking bikes over with people. It's the best.
Everything you wanted from the story, because it kind of wraps things up. Is that the easiest way to frame it?
Yeah, the only one I'd played otherwise was 0, but it does a pretty good job of catching you up besides. But very good contained story that I found.
From 0 to
satisfying.
6,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a problem.
No.
That's incredible. That they're able
It's,
to do that
again,
much.
it's a good contained story.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. Plus, I love the food system in that game. The way your hunger is draining, and then you're going to all of these places and building combo meals, and you're getting points, extra experience for getting the right combos and figuring out all the best combinations
This
of food
sounds
that each place.
fantastic.
It's very
Are
satisfying.
you a Yakuza guy, Joe?
No, I have to admit that's a big that is a gap in my experience that I've been wanting to fill. The problem now is that I have Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, and Yakuza 6. I own all of those.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, well, gee, they're going to put out that remaster of like 3, 4, and 5
Oh no.
on modern consoles. I think this year. So like, at some point, I want to get going on it, but I feel like I want to do it all front to back.
Leo, what's a guy to do?
I don't know. I did play Kiwami also. I forgot about that. So 0, Kiwami, and 6.
Yeah, but what would you recommend for Joe? Should he jump right to 6?
0.
0 is a great starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, but 6 you'll also have a good time with.
Very
Can't go wrong.
definitive.
6 is more fun. 0
Oh.
is a great starting point.
Okay.
If you're not sure you're gonna like the series, 6 will get you on board better, I think.
Interesting. There we go. Joe, number 5.
Oh yeah, we've talked about it. Obra Dinn.
Perfect. Reiner, 5.
Dead Cells.
There it is. I knew I was forgetting one.
A-
All right.
Rewarding, fun, constantly entertaining roguelike or roguelite? What do we call it now,
This
Dantec?
one's somewhere in between those two. It's so hard to say. But since there is no, I guess you are getting some permanent upgrade. I guess technically
Yeah.
it would be a roguelite. Yes.
Yeah.
But just the controls are spot on. You really do feel like it was my fault when I died. You know, I was too aggressive, or I didn't do a certain move when I needed to. Reminds me of Castlevania the whole way through. Kind of the elements I liked of that, but the evolution of it. And, upon each death, you go back, if you went through a couple of save rooms, and you realize, like, I'm better off now. Like, this next run, I have a better shot, or I opened up a new path.
Right.
So that's my game. I play it any flight I'm on Switch. I think it plays really well on Switch. I know there were some frame rate issues, but I don't think it holds it back from being just a remarkable experience.
Yeah. Also, what a crazy leap for that developer to go from mobile stuff to like one of the best playing games of the
Yeah.
year. It's just absurd.
So this game is also on my list. Oh. It is the best roguelike I have played. Period.
What's number 2?
I wasn't ready for that one.
Okay. All right. That's fine. You
I
love
wasn't-
it.
I do. Yes.
I felt that I was getting orbs, the currency, too slowly throughout the game.
Yeah.
But there's a Steam Workshop mod that just gets you orbs twice as fast. That's all it does.
Oh
It's
my
great.
gosh.
Sounds
There's
handy.
also these doors, time doors that you can get in.
Yes.
If you get into that path, obviously you're kind of speed running that way, but that's a way where you can just farm orbs really quickly.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Dantec, number 5.
Number 5. I can't imagine this one's on anyone else's list.
You real freak show coming up.
God of War.
Wow. Number 5.
Number 5.
Fantastic. All right.
What is that game?
Now, Dan, I remember doing a game club with you.
You
this
did
year,
do a game club with
where
me
I think
on this
game
game.
club part 1, you were like, I'd rather shove needles into my eyes than play any
No,
more of this.
I never
and then
said
part
that.
2, you're like, this is the second coming of Christ.
I never said
So I was curious where it
needles and
eventually
eyes.
went.
In fact, the real
Quote
solution-
me. Search it, people. He said the exact phrase.
And the second half of the game really turned me around. I was not certainly that first half. I was not impressed with a lot of things that you guys loved. I hated the dragon boss fight, for instance. That was
right.
extremely poor.
Sure.
And I didn't like a lot of the narrative setup stuff. Like, just didn't do it for me. But there was a payoff, and once that payoff occurred, I was on board for the rest, and I wanted
Yeah.
more. Second half was completely sold me on it in a huge way.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was doing so much busy work in the early game. Like, just
Boy, I didn't feel that at all, but I'm glad that we all love the game.
yes,
In
it
different
made
ways.
my list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the shocking thing. I've said it 1,000 times, but I actively dislike the God of War series up until this entry. And the fact that that game could turn me around in such a huge way. And I think you talk about busy work setting things up. I just feel like so much of that game, even going back to it just to double check my emotions on it, it's just the world and the subtlety of that world, I think, is just what completely blew me away. And it's like having a world that's magical, but you don't know where the edges of the magic are going to start seeping into that story. Like, I was on the edge of my seat the entire way through just to learn more about that fiction. And it's like, all right, yeah, Scandinavian mythology, you know, a couple things here and there, you get the big beats, but just, but that even gets in your head more of how is it going to be incorporated into my experience here.
Yeah.
I mean, you take the ultimate killer. The guy killed an entire mythology.
Right.
And you humble him and bring him down to earth to your level. And to be kind of living through, you know, his experiences that way. And for me too, as a father, seeing how he's dealing with certain things with a young child with him is fascinating, and an experience I would never expect from God of War.
It makes
they
it easy.
completely upended that series.
Right. It makes a good pitch. You're like, oh no, we're going to make you care about his son. Like, no, you won't. I've played you before, video game, but the fact that they pull it off so seamlessly is just incredible.
Yeah, and also sort of going off something Reiner said is like, yes, they take this character that has, you know, over a decade of history in the industry. I've played and enjoyed all of the God of War games, but I really appreciate on how this one they don't actually lean on that expertise that hard. Like, if you were to come into God of War not knowing anything about the series, like all you need to know, like they tell you all you need to know in a few small ways.
He's got a backstory that he's guilty about. Like, you get it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And so, like, I like the way that for fans, they're able to sort of fill in the gaps there, but the story doesn't bring that baggage along with it in a way that, like, slows it down.
Yes.
Which I love. And also, Jesus, the combat is just so good.
That.
Oh, man.
Like, it's just so good. So, like, I was replaying it a little bit this weekend. I started a new game plus on it, and just, like, it just feels so satisfying.
It's just absurd that after so many hours of playing that game, not even to mention what happens later on, I guess we won't spoil things.
Yeah, don't.
No.
But just that throughout that entire game, recalling the axe, it's always satisfying.
Yeah.
It's just something about the vibration of throwing that axe, calling it back, watching it just on the edge of my seat, watching the axe alone. Forget the world. Like, where's it coming from? Every time it connects with your hand again, it feels so good.
Oh, and when it hits something on its way back, like it hits an enemy on its way back and kills. Oh, man.
Just an entire experience that it could be so tight. And also, it's so much bigger than I think any of us were expecting as well. And just for the entire experience to feel so rock solid, it's just an incredible achievement.
And if this is our chance to, like, really dig in on God of War, like, I think one of the things that's so rare and so well done in this game is like a post-game arc too. So this is one where you see the credits roll, and that's like the contained story is satisfying. But then you have these awesome boss fights all over the world. The Valkyries, the last one of which is just like one of the most challenging and rewarding fights that I've done. I don't know, in a long time. Like, it was just great, and to see. Because it pays off and builds on just everything you did to the game, like, or with the game when you beat it, or like when you played through it, you finished, you keep learning, you keep getting better, and that last fight just takes all of it. And I that was just awesome.
Also, the music is incredible.
Oh, and there's a whole like Dark Soulsy. There's a whole kind of like Dark Soulsy area that you go through to like get better armor and upgrades.
You like that stuff? So yeah, I went to that world a couple times. I was like, I'm good. I'm moving on here.
I mean, I didn't
like it.
love it, but I liked that it was like it's essentially just a thing you can do if you want to in post game.
Right, for sure.
That's cool.
Definitely. My number 5 is Astrobot Rescue Mission. Reiner, I've been screaming at you
VR.
for so long
Yeah.
to play this game, and I feel like Beat Saber. Great experience. I won't bash Kyle in the booth here. I think it's a wonderful experience, but I feel like Beat Saber, you pick it up, maybe it's to the game's benefit too. You spend 5 minutes with that game, it's like, all right, I get why this game is awesome. I really do. And I think the tough thing about Astrobot is trying to convince people like, no, you should actually buy PSVR or you should take this thing home, because like playing through the entire game, I do think is important, because like the novelty of VR, it's an important thing in that game, but over and above that, it's just amazing level design for a platformer. It's just constant variety and creativity throughout that experience. The bosses, I think, are incredible. The
scale,
music, is just the best. I had such a good time playing that. I'm not even like a huge 3D platformer guy, but also at the same time, it's rare to play a platformer and think, I think Miyamoto should play this. He might be able to learn a thing or two. Like, that is the level of Astrobot. I think it's an incredible achievement, completely out of the blue. It made me love PSVR, Dan.
I'm glad we got a VR game.
I mean, I never buy one, but I love having one in the Game Informer office.
Second VR title you've got in your top 10.
Actually, that's true. Well, Tetris Effect isn't VR exclusive, but
But it does have VR.
Yeah.
That's
That's right. And it's a cool experience in VR. But
That's right.
Astrobot Rescue Mission. There we go. Give it up. Leo Vader.
Into the
Number 4.
Breach, number 4.
Wow.
I think that is a perfect piece of game design. One of my favorite roguelites I've ever played. And it's just so fun, moment to moment, so simple to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
The way your attacks, they all hit for damage, and lots of them have knockbacks, so you're tactically hitting a space over from an enemy because you can see where they're going to attack, and it knocks them over a space, and then they hit their friend when they attack, their ally.
Combo.
Yeah.
It has
There's so many fun setups like that.
It has exactly what you want from a strategy game, which is just perfect clarity.
Yes.
Here's what will happen here.
Exactly. This character will take lethal damage if you leave him here. You get one reset of a turn per match, which is just enough of an olive branch. Very nice to have.
What I was playing a lot of Into the Breach this weekend actually, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, he was just gushing about it." But he's like, "There are a couple things on the map where you do have to fail a little bit to figure out what it is. Like, okay, there'll be a cloud, you don't know what that is until you move into it, or you'll be confused about how like the sand works and whatnot on the sand maps and stuff." But still, outside of those couple things, it was like it'll take one turn, you'll understand how it's going to work. Like, it's just incredible to boil that design down so clearly.
And it's fun that you have the sets of different mechs that are one's electric focused, one's smoke focused, one's all about throwing the bugs, and the way that you can also make custom teams and see your favorite combinations of all of them and build your own super overpowered groups.
That's cool. Still just Switch and PC, right?
Yes.
Unless there's been an announcement that we missed. Joe Juba, number 4.
Yeah, I'm going to break the seal on Spider-Man.
Yeah!
All right.
Spider-Man!
So,
Spider-Man!
this was
Like
one
the freak wants to play.
that actually, this surprised me a lot because as someone who's just not super invested in superhero stuff, superhero games, I was not... After reading reviews of this, I was like, well, this is a game that all those people who love Spider-Man are going to love, and I'm going to play for a few minutes and not be that into. And that was just totally wrong. There's something, it captures what I loved about like the old Spider-Man movies and stuff. There's just a like fun lightheartedness to it in a way. It's not, I mean, it does get serious, but in a way that, I don't know, for me didn't feel overly, I don't know, like oppressive. And they just nail what it feels like to be Spider-Man.
Seems important.
In terms of the way you and what struck me as funny is I remember that everyone talking when that, was it PS1, PS2 Spider-Man came out? Where it's like, oh man,
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, web swinging in Spider-Man is just the best. This is what it feels like to be Spider-Man. And this game just makes that look like worthless garbage.
Yes.
You know, like to have just like that powerful, intuitive way of moving around the city at high speeds, high altitude. Like, yeah, that was just great.
Yeah, I think it's, knocks it out of the park for superheroes and storytelling. Like, I was equally as invested as being Spider-Man as I was Peter Parker and figuring out what's going on in his life and all the people around him. The whole way through that game, they kind of kept me off kilter in terms of what would happen next. Obviously, you knew who the villain was going to be. They tried to keep that a secret, which was weird.
Well, to be fair, though, you didn't know that they were going to be like the final boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess the relevance in the story, but obviously you meet the character, you're like, duh. But I absolutely adored it from start to finish, and I'm even loving the DLC. Like they did that right. Like it's a continuation of the game, and it's the same quality and elevating the difficulty. Like really smart.
Getting a little more experimental, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not the biggest spider nut, unlike Mr. Reiner and Mr. Reeves over here, but that was my biggest takeaway from the game was just I didn't expect that story to work out as well. Like if you would have said, superhero storytelling, it's like, I think I get it. I think I know where this is going to go. But the fact that I was so invested in all those storylines was the biggest shock for me.
Yeah, and some of the best moments are when it's just really quiet. Two characters just talking or sharing an evening together. It's like, that's really great storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the combat, I feel like everyone always like holds up the Batman Arkham games as like the best superhero combat, but I mean, I think this dethrones those easily in a way of like, because it still has that kind of balance between offense and defense, but you just feel so much more powerful, and I feel like you have so many more interesting tools at your disposal in Spider-Man.
Just staying in the air.
Yeah.
Great choice. Number 4, Renner.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
There it is.
There it is, right?
They're all here.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you really have to say, right? It's
tough.
The classic Smash Brothers formula done bigger and better than ever, and I love the World of Light campaign that they put together and the nostalgia that comes from that.
Oh boy.
Just clicking on an icon and being like, I totally remember that game, or like, what is this?
It's just a series of clever little inside jokes of like, yeah, I remember that game, but how are they going to represent it with the tools
Yeah.
they have in Smash? And like, oh, okay, that's really clever.
Yeah,
Get it.
it's super clever. And yeah, that's all I have to say. And Link's the best character.
Wow, like young or old Link?
Old Link, still.
All right, that's
Spin
a
attack,
Grandpa
in the air.
Link.
number 3 Link in my mind. No, absolutely it, Reiner. It's that tough thing of you just play this game and realize like that's it. We're spoiled. As a Smash fan, if you complain about anything left, someone needs to put a bullet in your mouth because this is it.
Whoa.
This is it. Like
Whoa.
you can complain.
Yeah, wait a
Online
minute.
could be better.
Just in,
that's
not
true.
shot, just in the
Yeah.
mouth.
Also, isn't unlocking characters annoying?
No, I think that's fun. I think it goes so much faster than people are complaining about online.
Here's a weird thing where you can back out of the campaign and a new challenger appears.
Quit the game and start it back up.
No,
to get
not
them
that. But like
faster?
it's every like 10 minutes or so. So like yeah, play World of
Every
Light
2
for
matches.
10 minutes. Okay.
2 matches.
There we go. Then just back out. Yeah, just get another character there. It's not so bad. I understand like it's frustrating if you're buying the game and you're having friends over immediately. Just you can't do that one thing. But for a game that's going to live forever and it's going to be such a great game to have on your Switch now until the end of time, like that's never going to be an issue outside of that opening weekend. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
we are so spoiled.
Yes.
Like the amount of content in that game.
Absolutely. Joe, what do you think about this?
I don't want to talk about it.
What? No. No, I'm not getting into Smash again with you. I know
Oh,
it's
okay,
a
okay.
hot topic. But they have, I don't have her yet, but apparently they have a spirit, which is like the little characters you unlock. For Paz from Metal Gear Solid, if you
Oh.
equip her, her perk is that she gives you a bomb. Isn't that kind of gross and weird?
Yeah,
Seems
it
like
It
is.
Poor
seems
taste.
insane to be like, oh, she just gives you a bomb. That's her thing. She loves bombs. Oh, I wonder what
Yeah.
that is. I'm gonna Google it. Oh, don't.
Yeah, that's real. Are you sure that
Yeah.
that's really what it is?
that confirmed?
I saw that online and thought that it was a joke.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check it, but I think so. I don't have her yet, but I heard that. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, maybe someone didn't know and they were just like, "Oh, Metal Gear's a military game.
Maybe.
Bombs. Here you go."
anyways, outside of that dark note. Oh, yes, Renner.
And also just what's coming next too. Like we got Joker from Persona 5. That is awesome. And we have 4 more announcements coming.
Yeah, we're going to be playing Smash through all of 2019, realistically all of 2020 and
Yeah.
2021. Yeah, until we're in an old folks home.
I mean, the next character's got to be Sora, right, from Kingdom Hearts.
God, I hope not.
That's got to be it.
I bet,
It's an easy home run.
based on how
Right?
stingy
Yeah.
Square was with Cloud and like incorporating any sort of Square stuff into that game, I bet they don't do it.
it's got to be.
I bet they're too stingy.
I
for
bet
that
it
stuff.
is. Too.
I'm announcing it right now.
Mickey Mouse.
Nice announcement, right?
There you go.
Number 4, Dentech.
For speaking of bullets and mouths, let's see. So
Oh.
my pick, I'm counting it as releasing this year because we reviewed it this year. So I'm going with Fortnite as my number 4.
Number 4.
Wow,
Yes.
good pick.
Wow.
Fortnite.
Man, what can I even say? I had so much fun with this game. Driving around in golf carts with my friends, doing rocket launcher battles, all kinds of just insane
Save the world
fun
mode.
stuff. Not so much to save the world mode. I think that's coming in 2019.
Free to play.
Yeah, it is free to play, and that is one of the coolest parts for somebody just looking to check it out. Like, unless you want to get a bunch of the goofy equipment just to make yourself look cool or do some hot dabs.
Oh.
You
Yeah,
don't need
that's
any
my
of that.
favorite part.
It's
is
completely free.
You dancing in the office, doing all the moves all the
I do.
time.
Can we go one day without you dabbing around
I'm
this
gonna
office?
try to stop, but it's just so fun.
Jesus.
Do you have a favorite season this year, or do you think it gets better with each one?
They're doing a great job of change things up and keeping things fresh and interesting keeping the core. What favorite season got to be when they had the golf carts and the portals for me, just because that's when all my friends would just like get onto a golf cart and you would jump into one of those portals and just fly around in the air and spin around and try to like crash land on somebody and take them out from above.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Dan, how do you respond to complaints that Fortnite is for babies?
For babies,
Yep.
I'd say, hey, let's go 1v1. Let's see what happens.
Dan, hypothetical.
Yeah.
Not trying to call you out.
That's what you're doing. Huh?
But it may happen.
If Fortnite was one of the world's least popular games, but you still played it with your friends and there's still enough to fill a match, you think you'd love it just as much? Or is there
Yeah.
something about the enthusiasm of like the world is raving about
Cultural.
this thing? Yes.
This pick was based on my own personal fun
I get it.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
the player numbers. I picked Artifact, which has I think like 8,000 concurrents right now.
All right.
So that's
All
on my
right.
list.
Well, and there's something to say for the game's popularity driving like epic support of it.
That's
And,
true.
You know,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Chicken and the egg. Number 4, clearly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Clearly.
High five.
Thank you. Leo.
My number 3,
Top 3.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We talked about it. I am
Wow.
excited for the future of that series. I think it's on a great track right now.
There we go. Also, hey, real quick, I think I talked about it on Giant Bomb a while ago, but it's one of those things where like, oh, I didn't think about that, but it's clearly there, right? Where it's like, oh, if Assassin's Creed is skipping 2019, saving it for 2020, does that mean the next gen launch title for Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
cool idea.
probably.
Yes, it does.
That's going to be exciting.
Straddling both, maybe.
Yeah.
They did that with Black Flag.
Right,
It's on
exactly.
both of them.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Joe. Number 3.
My number 3 is Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Wow.
Whoa, nice.
Awesome.
And I guess the short version of that is just I loved the original Valkyria Chronicles the most out of all of them. And this, on first glance, is like, oh, that's cool. They're giving me that again, which for me would have made me happy. But it's more than that because they have these small but important changes that they make to like some of the orders you can give, the units that are available to you, that even though everything sort of looks and feels familiar, it totally changes the way you solve the puzzles on the battlefield. And that's really what it feels like more to me than a turn-based strategy game. Is like it feels like a turn-based puzzle game. It's a lot more about how you use your units and how they line up against enemy units and how you use the command points and the vehicles at your disposal and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought the story and characters were interesting, but ultimately it was just the mission design and the changes that it makes to the formula that, I mean, I played it for review and then I just finished playing it again.
Oh, wow.
So
And that was the short
twice.
version of it.
Yeah, sorry.
And that's why you haven't played a lot of stuff this year.
Oh,
you keep playing the
yeah.
same
Oh,
game.
that's
True. Shadow and this.
That's true.
It's also one of those cases of like, give it up, people. Like, this is, in theory, everything you wanted from Valkyria Chronicles. I've been hearing about that fan base griping for how many years? It's like, you better effing buy this and support this, because this is it, folks.
Please do. Yeah, I think this is probably the last chance
Yeah.
to really show some support for this.
And assume it runs okay on Switch?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think it's probably there's some noticeable hiccups compared to other platforms, but
Yeah.
like nothing that interfered with the way that I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
reviewed it on PS4 and then replayed it on Switch.
It only has to render the game as well on like 50% of the screen because it's got that broad border on it as well. So I would hope that it runs well on
yeah,
Switch.
yeah.
Reiner, number 3?
Marvel's Mary Jane Watson and Friends.
Oh, I've heard great things.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
There we go.
There we go.
Dantec, number 3.
Number 3, Dead Cells.
Ah. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Fun tickles. Ooh. Number 3, Blackout. This was tough too because like I don't want to highlight those other modes. It's just been Blackout for me. So
That's
on the
it.
list, I had focused it out. Just call it Blackout, the mode that I love.
It's so good.
It is really good.
Leo Vader.
Smart.
Number 2.
Number 2, Hitman 2.
Yeah,
There
there
it
it is.
I knew that was coming.
What a great year to be a stealth gamer. Yeah. My God.
It really is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and that has all the because you love the original Hitman.
Yep.
And it has those levels in there too.
Yes,
right?
I have now replayed all the original Hitman and Hitman 2.
It's
And
just Hitman Ultimate at this point.
It really is.
Yeah.
Having it all in one package, just 13 of the best levels ever made. I am in love with that package. Feels better than ever. Challenges are fun. New mechanics are fun. Hiding in
Yeah.
the brush.
It's not episodic.
Sure.
What is the most creative kill you've had?
The most creative kill. Wow. It would have to be one of the... I replayed the whole first game going for suit only, silent assassin. So
Suit
it's,
only.
Right. So you can't ever put a disguise on.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of sneaking around in restricted areas, never being able to fully show my face. So, it would have to be something with that. I put the fugu fish poison in Hokkaido, where you cut the fish in the kitchen. You're supposed to put that in some sushi for the lady target, Yuki Yamazaki, but instead I took it to Eric Soders, who's on the operating table, and I just put it in his stem cells and poisoned him with the fish poison.
That's very good.
That's awesome.
It was very fun.
Hitman 2. What a gem.
Oh my God, it's great. It's one of the best stealth games ever made, is that Hitman 2 package with all those levels.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's awesome. Joe, number 2.
Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, that came out this year. Oh boy.
Well, I mean, I don't want to dominate the conversation on this.
No,
one. I
absolutely
mean,
not. We'll all jump in here.
Yeah, we had a whole spoiled podcast about why this game is interesting
And why I
great,
love
and-
every chapter of that game,
Yeah.
unquestionably.
Yeah.
Every
So
chapter.
the short version, and I'll give the actual short version this time, is that it's super ambitious, and the only thing that kept it from the number 1 slot for me was that sometimes it needs to use some archaic mechanics and design to convey what it's going for. And that made it sometimes not fun to play, though it was always impressive.
Absolutely. And again, we'll get the negative out of the way early, but that is also for me, that's the thing of when I think of the games that I was the most frustrated at this year, Red Dead's near the top of that list. I yelled F at the top of my lungs so many times while playing that game just for something stupid happening that was outside my control. But outside of that, I would argue the best writing ever in a game, the best performances ever in a game. I would go along with even best story in a game if somebody was willing to make that argument.
I'll back you up.
All right.
As well as being maybe the most profound technical achievement in creativity in human history.
All right, this is all getting a little hyperbolic.
He's being sincere.
No. Even what you were saying, though, too, was a little out there.
Oh, I stand by that fully.
I stand by it.
But,
Thank you.
I mean, I think it's a game that has a great cast, some great characters, and some great ways to connect players to those characters, for sure.
Yes.
I felt like a part of that gang in a way that, I think that's really probably for me, the standout achievement was the way that gang and the characters in it, that you care about them.
Right.
It really nails the great variety of a great narrative, of emotional variety, where it's really low lows, really high highs, really fun times with the gang, just some of the most horrible times with any group of people you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And
gripping.
At the same time, I think that the storytelling is so good, it gets there. I know we've talked about it so many times on the podcast that we were blabbing our mouths probably way too much in the first couple weeks of playing that game because it takes a while to get into the rhythm of what that game's trying to convey and the speed that game is going, right? But anyways, we're so in love with the storytelling. You brought it up a little bit. You forget about the technical achievement of that game. The fact that world can look so good and run that well on consoles, flabbergasting.
Constantly jaw-dropping.
Yes. It is just absurd.
Lightning striking right next to you. Super foggy environments when you're traveling across a bridge and you can't see anything.
The character models just look great.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of personality.
Animations, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't like that game for the first 5 hours, and then I fell in love with it, and then I didn't like online for the first few days, and now it's the only game I ever want to play again.
You should check out the settings menu. It'd take 5 hours, then you'd be really into it by the end of it as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm amazed how into online you are.
Yeah, I can't stop playing it. I am life ruinously into online. I put off eating as long as possible.
It was already number 1 on your list before that, though, right?
Yes, that's the thing.
And then online is just, this is a cherry on top for you.
Exactly. It's constant fun adventures of just getting into random fist fights on rooftops. Just constant stories to tell out of that online. I am in love with it.
I'm in love with Arthur Morgan.
Yep.
I'm in love with impersonating Arthur Morgan. It has fully infected my dumb friend group. We just... Playing Blackout, the only thing we say is, oh, hell. Just saying, oh, hell, at every situation is just this reflex that I can't get out of my system now thanks to Mr. Morgan, which I don't think he ever says it in the game.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
That's just his reaction to every situation is, I got to do
internal
it now.
monologue.
Oh,
he writes it in his journal a lot.
Just page after page. Oh, hell.
Yeah.
Reiner, did you like Red Dead?
I did. I said this year I'd give 2 games a 10, and Red Dead is one of them, and God of War is the other one. I think the thing for me is I think my favorite Rockstar games are the Grand Theft Auto still, and this didn't quite hit that high level.
Wow, okay.
And maybe it's because I just saw where it was coming from, or where it was going from the first second I started playing. I knew what that arc was going to be, right? So that just kind of stuck with me the whole way. And it was yes, you're the yes man for so long. And then it finally starts to tilt. And then I don't want to give it away or anything. But things change. The dynamic of the group changes.
Yeah.
But the technical aspect, how smooth it is.
Yeah.
When you're moving about the terrain and on your horse and all that, just rotating the camera, it's remarkable. The storytelling, the dialogue, the character development, all that stuff is really well done. But in terms of gameplay, I don't think it hit the high notes of the Grand Theft Autos. And I think that's just that era not having that many options. I think they leaned on gunplay a little too often in terms of there's this really nice conversation going on. It could go any which way, and then it always ends in a gunfight.
Right.
Oh, here comes some guys from the woods. Oh, there's another gunfight.
And you ask what everybody's favorite missions are, and like you take everybody's top 5, like 4 of the 5 are maybe like the 4 missions in the game that don't have gunplay.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like,
I
I
wish
like
they
going
would've-
fishing.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish they would have taken more chances in that way, or just explored a little bit more quiet space. That's a key thing in games this year. Like sometimes the best moments are when it's quiet.
But in a way, all those quiet spaces, that is just the camp life. You know what I mean? Like those experiences are those conversations you can have just because they recorded way too much dialogue. And you can just go back to camp and have more engagement, interaction with those people than you expect.
It's a seriously like dynamic, polished, amazing experience. Everyone should play it. It is of the slower variety, and I think that's what it needs to be. Like I think they hit the nail on the head in terms of pacing and flow.
A big thing for me, just overthinking Red Dead versus God of War this year, was just thinking about it's a stupid way to boil things down, but just that God of War, how combat always felt so good, and Red Dead, how every bit of combat in that game felt so mediocre to me, and I love so much of it, but just every gunfight is like, okay, here we go, I'm gonna pop up.
I
am
am still so excited anytime a gunfight happens.
What
in
the
online.
hell? Oh, an online.
And in single player.
All right, well then you're insane.
Yeah,
Really?
I am way more positive on the controversial things on that game than I think most people are.
What about the gunplay in single player grabs you?
I mean, the animations are perfect. Switching between pistol and shotgun. There's a great moment where I was just Deadeye taking out 5 dudes, and there's one dude left, and putting the gun down and whipping the pistol out and finishing off the last guy. It always feels amazing.
I'm
Diving
there with you,
around.
Leo. That didn't bother me at all. I
Really?
actually thought, like, man, I felt like a sharpshooter in that game. Like,
Yeah.
Arthur was like a serious killer.
Which is, then it always gets so silly when it's like, there are 4 people after us in this mission. It's everyone panic. It's like, Arthur can take out like 400 pretty easily. I don't think it's really
And seeing the hat pop off, like, oh man. Yeah,
They really
it's
can go
good.
a lot of different ways, including all the melee options I'm just getting into in online. I've got a machete now.
Ooh.
It's really dynamic. Getting tackled while you're in a gunfight from the side because you didn't notice somebody was sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
And plus turning the mini-map off, it makes it a lot more of a thinking man's game, which I love that you can turn the mini-map off at any time and then pop it back on when you need it or just pop it
Ooh,
up
yeah,
for
yeah.
a split second. I wish every game copied that.
Yes,
Oh.
absolutely.
It's genius.
All right. Reiner, did you give your number 2?
Yeah, that was my number 2.
Okay. Dantac.
Number 2, a little game called Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. Number 2, Red Dead 2 for me. Leo, number 1. Game of the year. This is
Red Dead
it.
Redemption 2.
Beautiful.
Maybe my favorite game ever. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
Just be definitive. This is the place to be definitive.
Is this
now.
over-
I'm
Overtaking
curious if it
Hitman?
changes over time, but right now it is easily my favorite game ever.
Okay. Changes over time, meaning you go back and play Super Metroid or some stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. maybe, maybe Mario Brothers 3.
Jeez.
Joe?
Yeah, God of War was it for me this year.
Yeah. Reiner as well?
God of War, like I said, they took a real chance. And that's, like I said, it was probably a coin flip for me, like God of War or Red Dead. But God of War doing something different for such an established series just put that over the edge for me.
Yeah.
And it's really splitting hairs,
Please.
I guess is what it boils down to, because complaining about Red Dead in the face of like what it accomplishes, like it feels like getting nitpicky. But
Yes.
at some point when you're going to your number 1 pick of the year and you have such great
Yeah.
games, that's what it boils down to. For me, it was God of War and Red Dead, even though they aspired like very different things, the highs in both of those games
Yep.
were very similar to me. But the lows in Red Dead sunk a little lower
Yep.
in terms of just like some of the frustrating like mission
failures.
failures
Oof.
and things like that. So by a narrow margin, God of War took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the highs in God of War were the surprises in the narrative I didn't see coming. I probably should have, but they
Right.
always got me. And it was just like, whoa, this is actually happening right now.
Yeah.
That's my number 1.
We talked about this a lot in like our top 50 meetings too, but I think, you know, when we're talking about what makes our list of characters, what makes our list of moments.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if everyone agrees, but I liked the sentiment that Red Dead is really a game of great characters.
Yes.
And God of War is a game of great moments.
I think that's a brilliant way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dantac, did we reveal your number 1?
We have not.
Oh.
It is.
Open up that Christmas
No one
present.
mentioned it. No one mentioned it yet. So that's yeah. I'm kind of sad, but it's pretty cool. Monster Hunter World.
Of course. Number 1.
Number
Dan.
1.
That's
Absolutely.
very interesting.
It is fantastic and glorious to see one of my favorite franchises back on powerful equipment that doesn't need to be held with claws.
And also doing gangbusters.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is like the first time I think that the game's actually it's more accessible, but the core is still there. If it's still that hardcore monster hunting, boss smashing experience.
First time it's
freaking
fun.
sweet.
It's really congratulations to be serious.
for a lot of people, I bet that's actually true. So it's fantastic, and I hope they continue to have more titles come out for console and PC.
Are you gonna play that expansion? Excited about that?
Sure, it's a little weird to have an expansion so far off from release. Like,
Yeah.
it's sometime next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a little weird, but yeah, sure, I'm gonna check it out.
Did you play a lot of the PC version then?
Yeah, I played through it again on PC.
Are you committed to playing that in the future then? Or
I
just gonna
would
wait
like
for all
to,
that
but I have a
stuff?
feeling like when the expansion comes out, it'll be available on console first again.
Ugh,
so
doesn't that suck?
Yes.
Ugh, what a bummer. Great choice, Dan Tech. Monster Hunter World, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a great pick.
Did we all play Monster Hunter World?
Yes.
Yes.
I put about 10 hours into it, and this has been, I think it's ultimately just like that series isn't for me. I played some of it on handheld, and
Yeah.
I was talking to Dan about it when it came out, and it was like, this is your chance. Like, this is your chance to see if Monster Hunter is up your alley.
Yes.
And I played it for 10, 15 hours, and I just don't think it is, and that's okay.
Yeah, if you're not into it now, nope, let it go. That's fair. It was
that is
somewhere in
fair.
that top 20 for
If
me,
you
for
bounce
sure.
off like this, if you you stayed away from it and you just want to try it, this is definitely the one to try. But if you bounce off it, hey, it's true.
Yeah.
Did that little pig in the pajamas make any of our character lists?
You probably should have.
He's probably the character of the year.
Poogie?
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah,
It's
Poogie,
really
definitely.
beautiful.
We blew it.
Yeah, number one for me was God of War. No thrill there.
Whatever.
Hold
what do you
on.
want?
Show of hands of the 5 people here who had God of War on their list.
On their list.
4. And then what about Red Dead?
Oh, yeah.
4.
So,
Dun dun dun.
tied.
Leo, you played God of War, but you were like, meh?
I regret not finishing it so I could be more a part of the conversation.
Right.
Especially
How long did you
around
play it?
Your times? 3 hours maybe.
Ooh.
Oh. and
Yeah.
Dan, you
So,
just...
yeah, I have not played Red Dead. I'm waiting for PC. So
All right, buddy.
That's never going to happen.
Is that a joke?
it's not a joke.
It'll happen in 2 years,
It
for
is
sure.
not a joke.
Red Dead, the original Red Dead never came to PC.
Yeah,
That's
we're
correct.
aware.
But there's been
What
hints.
makes you think it's gonna come?
Hang on, do you actually want to gamble on this, Joe? I will absolutely take that
GTA
bet.
5 came to PC, and it's one of the best-selling Steam games of all time.
Yeah,
So
but
I
there's
feel
no
like
way
their
you
position
can
has
pull
probably
off
changed on
Wild
it.
West on PC.
Because you're reminded
Compared
you're
to
in
the power of the
cyber future.
Xbox One X, I don't think so. Wow. Fantastic. Leave your top 10 in the comments below, everybody. We love seeing this stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, this show ain't over. Let's get
Whoa.
into the email of the year. Here it is. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. This is it, folks. This is the grand finale for the year of emails. We have Andrew Reiner,
Yeah.
email champion, Kyle Hilliard,
Hi.
email connoisseur, and Jeff Cork,
Hi, happy holidays to
email
you.
lover. Great, love it. All right, what we're doing here, email of the year. All year
Yes.
long, people generously have been writing into podcast@gameinformer.com, just giving us content, giving us laughs, giving us information. It's the best inbox in the world. And people email in, they win email of the week. Now, at the end of the year, start of the new year, it's time to definitively determine the official email of the year.
And this winner will get something that is seriously really nice.
That is true.
Not that,
That is true.
garbage that's really nice.
Yes, we will actually give this person something very nice. And also, we're wiping the board.
Wiping the board?
Wiping the board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
and
realize
then
it
we're
was-
putting in the one pin for the once and for all God's country. These are all
Yeah.
God's country in their own way,
Right.
but really, we'll know what's
This
going
this
on.
one pen is kind of dirty. You're going to want to wait and see what it is, right?
Absolutely.
Like-
All right, so to be
Cannot
clear,
wait.
email of the year, that's a permanent,
That is a
long-term
permanent pin, ladies and gentlemen. We have a bracket system. We have a summary of all the emails that have been written in. So this is a celebration for everybody for writing into podcast@gameinformer.com. Thank you for writing in. We appreciate it. Leo in the booth, you ready to kick off this tournament? Woo! Yeah! Okay. First, this is, Reiner, what do you call this? This is the bracket before the bracket, just to make
Yeah.
all of these fit in.
It's like an NCAA bracket.
It is. So we
for
got
college
two.
basketball.
So we're going to go around the horn. One person's going to have the definitive choice of which is the actual winner, and then the person behind them in line is going to definitively answer that email or respond to it, because we're judging these based on how interesting the email entry is, not the question necessarily, because some of these aren't even questions. You'll see soon. You ready to go?
This makes total sense.
Okay, here we go. Bracket number 1.
Yeah.
We have, this is going to be from Illinois. We have Luke. Luke from Illinois on this episode. He wrote in asking, would Red Dead 2 have won Game of the Year if it came out earlier in the year so more people could have voted on it for the Game Awards? Okay, so
The recent one.
That's right. So Red Dead 2 come out too late in the year for the Game Awards versus Jake Z from Ventura, California, writing in saying, hey, does Red Dead Redemption 2 storytelling live up to TV writing these days? All right, here we go. So, definitively, Kyle, you're going to make the call.
Oh, I'm making
which
the
is a
first
better
call.
question? Or email, I should phrase it.
Okay, and we're not like thinking back to how these discussions went.
This is in the
just-
moment, baby.
And we can also pipe in and tell Kyle how he should vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
So, okay, I'm gonna go with, does Red Dead storytelling live up to TV writing?
Yeah, me
TV
too.
writing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that question. I think it's more like long-term, bigger, where the other one is more like of that moment in time.
This
All
person
right.
needs to realize there's a lot of channels on TV, too.
There are a lot of channels
Be
on
fair.
TV. Even some outside of TV these days.
That's
Sweet
true.
Lord.
Jeez.
By the way, we should thank Jackbox Party Pack 3 and TKO for the awesome soundtrack for the bracket system and a fun game.
Yeah, please don't copyright strike this video.
That's true. Jeff Cork,
Yes, sir.
number one question then.
Yeah.
Does Red Dead Redemption 2's storytelling and writing live up to the average TV show?
The average TV, yeah, absolutely.
What about the best TV show?
the best TV show of all time?
Well,
Dallas?
some of the finest.
Some of the finest, yeah.
The remake or the
Okay.
original?
There we go. Great.
Both.
Okay, bracket number 2. We have, oh my gosh, this is Levi from Westfield, Indiana, asking, oh, he quoted last year's episode from 2017.
Oh my goodness.
Where I said, hey, cut out this clip, send it to us in the future, because I said there's no way 2018's games will be better than 2017's. So he basically kicked off the great 2017 versus 2018 debate on the podcast. That's Levi from Westfield, Indiana. And of course, that goes up against Adam Srari from Stormville, New York, very recent, saying, hey, the problem isn't Microsoft's games lineup. The problem is how Microsoft treats relationships with game studios, saying that I think they don't treat them well.
Right.
And that's the real problem here
Right.
with Microsoft. So Microsoft problem versus 2017 versus 2018.
Is it Renner's call? He's making the call?
Yes, it is.
2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Microsoft
All right, there it
just
is.
buys all these companies now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, who knows if that's what the problem is, right?
And plus, it made Ben look like a big ignoramus.
Yeah, that's always fun.
That is a good time. All right, congratulations, Levi from Westfield, Indiana. You are moving on in the bracket. Way to go. And then, Kyle, which year is better?
For me, 2017.
There it is. Okay, here we go. Bracket. We have Jake from Bayonne, New Jersey with the question, hey, what's some of the best/worst celebrity voice acting in games? Going up against Jonathan Goran from Indianapolis, Indiana, saying, oh, he just sent in the game over music from a game on PC called Total Distortion, which was very good. All right. Oh, I guess it's on me, right? I'm going with game over music. I do believe. I think that was a
I thought
fun
we weren't
idea.
supposed to factor in, because we can't hear it now, right?
That's true. You can't hear it now, but I still like the concept of people sending in very funky things, especially audio-specific things to send in. So that's Jonathan Goran from Indianapolis, Indiana.
So, Ryder, you want to
Congratulations.
answer that question?
What was it?
The question is, someone sent in funny game over music from an obscure video game. What's your answer?
That's the question.
They
Did someone send it? Is that the question? Did someone?
And the answer is yes, Reiner.
Okay.
There it is.
That's my answer. Yes.
You got it. Killing it.
You'll
Awesome.
get a better one next time, probably.
Okay, here we go. Next bracket. This is Noah from New Paris, Pennsylvania, the newest Paris around. He says, hey, what's wrong with Sony and cross-platform play? What's the deal with them?
Yep.
And then, of course, the next one is going to be Andrew Burns from Henderson, Texas, where he's breaking down and ranking Game Informer's. He asked us to rank Game Informer's top 10 games, or top 10s. Oh, so that every Game Informer review that got a perfect 10, he asked us to rank them, and he ranked them himself. Oh. He did the full breakdown.
Was that its own bracket system? We did versus?
That's a lot of research.
It is. Yeah, Andrew really did a great job with this. This is Andrew versus, as everybody remembers, this is Noah from New Paris, Pennsylvania. What's wrong with Sony and cross-platform play or Game Informer's top 10s?
I think they're both very good questions.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to say the Sony cross-platform play.
Really?
Wow,
That's
All right,
a really bad choice.
Less navel-gazy, but I guess
That's exactly the term that came to mind.
That's like a
really?
16 seed beating a 3.
All right, there we go. That's Noah. Congratulations, Noah. You're rocking it. Okay, next one. We have, oh my gosh, Jesus himself from National City,
Probably
California.
not how you pronounce it.
Well, what are you going to do? Says, hey, if you could have any E3 game released on July 1st, which one would you choose? Versus, oh my gosh, this is Christian from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
What a pairing.
Saying, hey, oh yeah. Saying, what's the best-selling, least played game?
Who's answering this one? It's my turn, right?
You get to choose which one.
Okay, I liked best-selling, least played, because I think that's such a strange question that makes you think a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great call overall. All right, we're sorry, Jesus. They're in National
There you
City,
go.
California.
It could be Jesus Jones.
That's
That's
true.
true.
That's true, right here, right now.
And Jeff Quirk, what
Yes,
is
sir.
the best-selling, least played game?
Best-selling, least played game. I'm going to say, in terms of least played, I'll say Red Dead, because I don't think very many people have completed it, because it goes on forever.
In, some would say, a good way. All right, next one, we have Mr. Hardy from Seattle, Washington, saying, if you had to swear loyalty to a mega corporation,
Ugh.
which one would you do it to? Versus, this is Jamie from Gold Coast, Australia, International, saying, where are all those funky Joy-Cons at?
The Joy.
I think the real thinker is if you had to swear loyalty to one corporation.
Mega corporation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good discussion.
Okay, I
Makes
like
you
it.
feel gross.
OCP.
And that's
right?
what we're looking for. And Kyle,
Yeah.
if you had to swear allegiance to one of those, which one would it be?
Google, I guess. Give you a lot of stuff you could do. Assuming if I swear to Google, I can't use other stuff, right?
That's true. That was the context.
Google. It is.
You got it, man. All right, next bracket we have from episode 400. Who could forget? Andrew King from Jackson, Michigan, saying, "Hey, games that you enjoyed personally, but then when they were released to the wider audience, you know, like once it actually launched versus your review time, it's soured. Games that you enjoyed that soured for a wider release is Andrew King's big question, and that is versus." Oh, Beaten Down Brian, friend of the show from Carlow, Ireland, saying, hey, what are your thoughts on Sony not being at E3 2019, and when is the PS5 coming?
So, for clarity on the original question, it's like you liked a game that you reviewed, and then after it came out, you stopped liking it, or it was like you reviewed it and liked it, and then
Everybody else
didn't
soured
like
on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm going to go with... I think that's a... Oh, God.
Gotta choose, man.
I think I'm going Beaten Down Brian, thoughts on Sony not being at E3 2019. It's a little standard, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's an interesting discussion point compared to one that was a little bit nebulous about when are things souring. So congratulations, Beaten Down Brian. There we go, episode 425. Truly one of the finest. All right, here we go. Next bracket, we have... Oh, Nicholas Brewer from Searcy, Arkansas, going up against Terry from St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, here we go. Terry from St. Louis, Missouri asks, which games do you want on the Switch?
All right.
All right. Versus Nicholas from Searcy, Arkansas, saying, oh, here's an interesting one. Talking about when a friend of his died and the Battleborn community rallied around that.
So it's
Remember,
like,
it's like the friends that this person made
Yeah.
through the Battleborn community, they were like celebrating their life through the Battleborn
and it was
community.
like talking about communities, like
Yes.
really.
So it's being selfish, what you want, versus
Right.
celebrating someone's life.
And there's nobody better to make that call than Jeff Quirk.
That's the Battleborn one, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, there we
Yeah.
go. That's from episode 409.
Well, you got Diablo on Switch this year, so you're good as
Yeah,
far
exactly.
as games you want on Switch,
Yeah.
right? So
There we go.
Where's Red Dead 2?
Where's Netflix?
That is a weird thing. Okay, here we go. Next bracket. We have Felix from Paris, France. Not New Paris, like the other guy. All right, Felix from Paris, France, writing in saying, hey, if real life had to be mapped on a PS4 controller,
Oh, okay.
what would go where? And that's going up against episode 427,
Go
which is Levi from Westfield, Indiana, saying, oh, hang on. Oh yeah, this works out because this is from pulling in from the previous round to make the brackets even. Saying 2018 versus 2017.
Okay. I really liked I like the if life were a PS4 game, where would you map the buttons? That's
Absolutely.
really goofy. I love those like
It's the
goofy,
obvious-
weird ones.
I like when I have a fidget cube. I think about that all the time. Like, could I control my entire life with the interface on this fidget cube? And I think I could.
The Switch, or there's a little control stick on one of the ones
The
I
little
have.
wheel,
Yeah.
What would the biggest button be?
the biggest button.
Interact.
Yeah, interact.
Just general interact.
Yeah, just general interact.
Yeah, touch.
Put headphones on, pretend I can't hear you.
Yeah.
All right, next bracket. We have, of course, Chris Bartlett from Chandler, Arizona, going up again. Oh, wait, no, let's explain that. Chris Bartlett wants to know, do you prefer at E3 deep dives or just a scattershot of trailers? Basically, the Microsoft versus Sony approach.
So,
is what
like,
he's
and
asking.
specifically pertaining to like the press conference.
Press conferences at E3. Deep dives or scattershot of trailers. And that's going up against the great Garrett from Seattle, Washington, saying, if you could ask any developer one question and get the 100% truth.
This is me.
It's you.
I'm going to go deep dives versus trailers because I think game
Oh.
trailers don't really speak to anything anymore. They're just kind of
Yeah.
sizzle reels of blah. So I want everything to be deep dives.
Oh, so you prefer the deep dives. All right, there we go. Okay, next one. We have, this is the tricky one. Adam Smitley from we don't know where, so we assumed Greenland. Going up against Alec from Massachusetts, and who could forget it's Scituate, Massachusetts. All right, so Alec wants to know, hey, which games from these years were the most influential? Breaking down the past versus, of course, Greenland themselves. Adam Smitley saying, which game series have you never even touched?
Yeah. And then for the year one, it was like, hey, this group of games came out in like 2006. Which one has like persisted and been the most influential? Not necessarily the best.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
I think because the influential is more of a positive question in a way, you know, it's all-encompassing for the industry and it really makes you think, compared to just, I haven't touched this thing and there's nothing really else to say.
Yeah.
I'm going with Alec from Situate. There we go. Well done. Cork, which series
sir.
have you never touched?
What series have I never touched?
Yeah.
Jack and Daxter.
No, really?
Yeah.
Never even touched the
guess you would
controller.
like those.
Never even touched the controller when we did some replays on it.
Are you committed to like, I'm going to die and on my deathbed I will just have to live
I
with the
hate
fact
that
I've never-
mentality. I think that aggravates me to no end. People are like, I've never seen Titanic and I never will. It's like, watch it or don't, but it's a weird thing to have a stand on.
It's
like,
a great movie. Well, you just
define
miss it out.
myself as by what I don't do.
All right, I'll zip up my hoodie so you can't see my Titanic t-shirt. All right, Kyle from Athens, Georgia writes in and says, hey, what are some blank check games? Saying games where the developer is just given basically infinite budget, infinite time based on a previous success.
Yep.
I remember a game we didn't talk about as an example is like Ken Levine's Project Now. That's like, oof, that's good blank check material, right?
Yeah.
And that's going up against, of course, Nick from Dover, New Hampshire, saying, what's a game you finished that nobody else at the table has even started?
You know what I liked about that question at the time?
Yeah.
I know we don't want to dwell on the past too much. Was you thought you had the best game? You're like, here's a game that no one else at this table has played, I'm sure. And Reiner was like, oh wait, no, yeah, I played that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I don't
year.
remember what it was either, but it was funny.
cute
It made me
story.
laugh.
Okay, what are we going with?
Is it me?
Yeah, it's a cork, right?
Is it Cork?
I think it might be me.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the blank check game.
Okay, and that's just not because you're a fan of the Blake Check podcast?
That's true.
That podcast has taken over my life
Yeah?
and the way I think, which is gross, but it's very fun. Okay, here we go. Episode 406 versus 419. Who can forget? We have Adam from Connecticut writing in with episode 406 saying, hey, if you could stop one E3 game from being released, what would you go with? Versus 419, which is Wes Bates from Woodland, California, saying, your favorite enemy designs of all time.
I gotta go with enemy designs on that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's it really, you don't think about it too much, but really focusing in on which one has the strongest
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, it's cool.
And everybody knows the answer is,
The guy from Mega Man with the hat who pops up and shoots at you.
you got it, nameless as always. Okay, here we go. Next batch, we have, Noah from Los Angeles.
Let me guess. He says, hey.
He says, hey guy, hey crew, what
Ben and
E3
crew.
announcement made you audibly gasp? And that's going up against Lucas Ladoy from Iota, Louisiana,
Come on.
saying, hey, remember that IP Dead Island and how crazy it is? Let's break down the history of Dead Island. So E3 Audible Gasp versus Dead Island.
E3 Audible Gas.
I love that one. You're totally
Screw
right.
Dead Island.
Well, I don't know if we're ready to Screw Dead Island, which I think is a mobile spin-off, actually. It's a Screw Dead Island. Okay, here we go. And Reiner, what do you think is the biggest E3 Audible Gasp?
Ocarina of Time.
Seeing that in motion?
Yeah.
That's
People
sweet.
lost their marbles.
It's true. Rich Lynch from Los Angeles, California, because Los Angeles was really the winner this year for just the amount of people emailing in from there. Truly God's country, as we all talk about. Rich Lynch says, hey, why do you have to hit start before you get to the main menu in a video game? That's a very good one. Versus John from Branson, Missouri, saying, what's the biggest gaming event you're fascinated by as a journalist? This gaming event in general. I cannot argue against the why do you have to press start.
I love
Because
that
one, it really stuck with me. And I know we're not basing it too much of the time,
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah, it's that obvious thing. And that's what I love about podcastinginfo.com is those obvious things that just no one talks about in gaming,
Do
right?
you guys feel like you're getting away with something when you hit a different button and it pushes you through?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Mainly because there's no start button anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It's like, it reminds me of that one email we got that one time about like, what's up with that grating tone of the PS4 beeps for like eject and power? Like, yeah, it is a gross tone and no one's ever talked about it. in
It's
any
like the
capacity.
default speaker that's in a PC.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like a little tiny thing the size of a nickel that
Yeah.
you immediately want to disconnect.
Absolutely. And I love that I took up Treyarch's time while visiting them for Call of Duty Black Ops 4 by asking them, why is that start button thing there? And they said it is like a requirement from first party to recognize the controller. So you have to enable the controller, and that's the way you do it before you get in there. Very good. Okay, here we go. We have Shane from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, saying, hey, are these real or fake Star Wars names? Versus Doug from Burlington, Vermont. What tech were you promised as a kid that still isn't here?
Those are both really good things. I don't want to taint it too much. I remember having a really fun time with that Star Wars
Okay.
question
all right.
mark, but the tech. The thing is, I think that, like, in my mind at least, we've surpassed everything that I was promised as a kid. Like, aside from, like, because no one ever promised a holodeck. Like, this is a thing you'll be able to have.
Star
Like,
Trek promised it.
Yeah, my father did repeatedly.
Jetpacks
You're
and
gonna
flying
have one.
cars and stuff.
Woolly
You don't count
mammoth.
They grew up in, like, the 50s? I don't know. I'm going to go with the Star Wars names.
Oh, God, that
That's
one
good.
kills me, Cork. Oh, my God. I love that tech question, but all right, got to be brutal. Moving on, we have Mark Lark from Surprise,
that a
Arizona.
Star Wars? Is that a
Surprise,
Star
my
Wars?
name is Mark Lark. Saying, hey, I have a bunch of game sounds. Here's a pop quiz. What do these belong to? Right? And then we ran through it. Leo and the booth played them very generously. And that's going up against John from Minneapolis, Minnesota, saying, describing two games and the names combine. Okay, so he's describing a game, and then the answer is, oh, it's like Brutal Legend of Zelda. You know what I mean? It's the Doug Loves Movies game, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going with, Kyle?
I think I gotta go with sound effects.
Great.
I like sound effects, even though I did poorly. I remember.
And I like
people,
it makes people contribute in different ways. Like,
Yeah,
not
right,
just
I like
asking
that too.
questions.
Yeah, I have to
both
download
good,
a
though.
bunch of individual audio files. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it was worth it.
That's true. Okay, here we go. Last one for this bracket. We have 397. Oh, the first one that we started doing, the first God's Country, Louisville, Kentucky. Logan writes in, and he just played the original God of War Hotline Call-In, which is David Jaffe getting murdered by Kratos. Just played that audio. It was fantastic. And that's going up against 429, which is Jake Z from Ventura, California, saying, does Red Dead Redemption's 2 storytelling live up to TV rating?
So
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue. He's moving on. Red Dead storytelling.
Red
Live
Dead
up to-
storytelling.
That's
All
a good
right.
talker.
Yeah,
All right. Just
that's
about
true.
the quality of game storytelling compared to
That's-
another medium.
That's very true. God bless that Colin, though. That was really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh.
So we're in
getting
like the
down to it.
second tier now, right?
This
We're-
is a whole new tier.
Okay.
This is a whole new tier.
But we're
Now,
gonna be hearing questions
This
again.
is the Sweet 16.
Gotcha,
Everybody
okay.
knows it. Okay, so first one, we have Shane from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Real or fake Star Wars names. And that's going up against Game Sounds Pop Quiz.
That's you, though, right?
It
You
is
answer
me.
this.
I'm going Game Sounds Pop Quiz.
Really, even after complaining about downloading those audio files.
I liked it. I think it made the show better. It's taking advantage of the fact that it's a podcast.
But that's what
you
you're
know?
looking for when people write a podcast at GameForward.com.
That is literally
things that make.
the show better.
There you go. Thank
You
you.
got it. All right, next one. We have episode 429. Of course. Okay, let's get to it. This is Jake Z. Does Red Dead Redemption 2 storytelling live up to TV writing? And that's going up against Jonathan Gorin from Indianapolis, Indiana, where he played the game over music from the game Total Distortion on PC.
I have to go with Red Dead because I simply... That other one seems like a real time and place kind of a letter.
All right, congratulations. That's storytelling for Red Dead. Moving on. Okay, 421. This is going to be Christian. Oh boy, Kyle, ready for this?
No.
Christian from Philadelphia saying best-selling, least played. That old chestnut going up against Mr. Hardy from Seattle if you had to swear loyalty to a mega corporation.
Best-selling, least played. I really like that question a lot.
I think that is a great call.
Yeah.
All right, next one. We have Beaten Down Brian Reiner saying thoughts on Sony not being at E3 2019 and when is the PS5 coming? And that's going up against, of course, the Battleborn community rallying around the death of a friend.
I gotta go Battleborn.
Okay. All right, Battleborn community. That's going to be a hard one to knock out emotionally.
The one about Sony, I mean, that's all speculative, right?
And also, I think everyone was kind of talking about that at the time, whereas this one, it's a very unique case of this community rally.
Sony's gone, but we don't know what it means yet. It just kind of happened, right?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, next one. Here we go. We have Felix from Paris, France saying, hey, if real life had to be mapped on a PS4 controller, ooh, deadly. Against Rich Lynch in LA, California saying, why do you have to hit start before the main menu? I'm going real life on the controller.
Yeah,
that's the right call.
398. Thank you.
That's a 1 seed.
Thank you. Absolutely. Okay.
Hey,
next
Leo,
one.
if you could put all my money on that question, please. Thank you.
Here we go. This is Alec from Massachusetts saying, which games from these years were the most influential? Going up against Kyle from Athens, Georgia. What are some blank check games?
I like the influential year.
Oh, really?
Two, yeah.
All right, there we go.
I think I also would have gone that direction, Cork.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. 403. We have Noah from New Paris, Pennsylvania, Kyle. What's wrong with Sony and the whole cross-platform play thing, which they eventually reversed on, but no one really liked to talk about that part because it was less fun. And then Wes Bates from Woodland, California, your favorite enemy designs.
Oh. I think I like enemy designs.
Okay.
I like the big, broad, all-encompassing, not just time and place. This is what's happening now. I like the ones that make you think about the whole, everything about
It makes the show timeless for those few people, but they do email in that go back and have listened through the GI show years later and stuff, going through the entire history of the show. That's crazy. And those hold up more.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is deadly. We have Noah from LA, California, which E3 announcement made you audibly gasp, versus Rich Lynch from LA, California. Why do you have to hit start before the main menu?
That's me?
Yep.
The E3 reveal.
E3 reveal, that's it.
It's a good talker.
Sorry, Rich, you are out of the game. The audible gasp one is very good. Okay, here we go. As everybody knows, new bracket here. We're getting down to it. We're really getting down to it. So this is...
How many matches?
80, I think. Feels like.
There's going to be 4 winners from this.
So what do they call it? The final... It's the final 4...
The Hateful Eight.
There we go. 36. Okay, here we go. As everybody knows, it's does Red Dead storytelling live up to TV writing, going up against the best-selling least played? Best-selling least played.
Yep.
There you go.
Congratulations. Okay, here we go. Jeff Cork?
Yes, sir.
This is going to be Nicholas Brewer from Searcy, Arkansas, saying, hey, Battleborn community really rallied around that person's death.
Yep.
Versus Felix from Paris, France, if real life had to be mapped on a PS4 controller.
Oh, real life on a PS4 controller.
All right.
No
all
hesitation.
right.
Good question.
Worthy.
It really is the best.
Okay, we have Alec from Massachusetts. Kyle, which games from these years were the most influential?
Okay.
Going up against your favorite enemy designs.
Influential.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. I like that discussing the best game of the year versus the one whose tentacles have spread into the most games over time.
I thought you were into tentacles.
I love them.
Here we go, Reiner. Felix from Paris, France. Oh, I'm sorry.
Texas,
Noah.
right?
Nope, we got it. Noah from LA, California, saying, which E3 announcement made you audibly gasp? Going up against Mark Lark from Surprise, Arizona. Game Sounds Pop Quiz.
First of all, people party to this music?
Yeah.
Okay. Game sounds pop quiz.
Games. Oh, really?
Wow.
I love the audibly gas.
Okay, the autumn. Yeah,
You're not hitting that P hard enough, by the way.
Oh, really?
It sounds like you're saying audibly gas.
Well, that's
yeah.
funny.
I think that's why Reiner didn't pick it, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it was gasp.
Gasp.
Which E3 announcement made you fart?
Detroit.
Some Tim Schafer game, probably.
Okay, here we go. This is on me. We have Christian from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, saying best-selling, least played
Oh, no.
versus if real life had to be mapped.
Oh, no. Now, can we talk to you about this?
Yeah,
we really
absolutely.
should.
Because we're getting near the end here.
Yep,
with
please,
this, right?
please.
I think the PlayStation controller one.
It's really
It's
clever.
a really fun question.
Man, it's
Best-selling, least played is like an interesting question as well.
It's silly versus like really pulling from industry knowledge. Maybe my favorite broad question of best-selling, least
the
played.
controller one's like a more like improv-y kind of question. You
It's
know?
more fun for
The
sure.
other one's more analytical.
Ultimately, it does what I think the best questions do, which is connect our favorite hobby,
gaming.
and it makes you think about your life as well. You know what I mean?
Sure. My least
you
favorite
really-
hobby.
So I'm going. All right, episode 398, still in the running. That is Felix from Paris,
Oh,
France.
wait. So you went controller mapping?
I went controller mapping.
Okay.
Wait, this
Yeah.
is the final four.
Yes.
Yes.
Move on to the final match then.
Yes.
You're
So the
moving
winner
on.
is moving
Yeah.
on to the absolute final round. Okay, ready to go here?
Yes, sir.
Alec from Massachusetts. Which games from these years were the most influential? Versus Mark Clark, Surprise, Arizona. Game Sounds Pop Quiz.
Oh, boy. I think the influential years has got to take it. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that like anything that relies on a sound or something like that is a really tough sell in my opinion because it just without that supporting it, I mean, you don't have a thing.
You don't got to think.
You don't got a thing.
Okay,
You're missing it.
here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
This is it. This
is it. I think this needs to
is
be
a
a group.
vote.
This
It
needs to
should
be
be
a
a
group
group
discussion,
discussion.
right?
Yeah,
We've got to
group
broaden this
discussion
out.
for
So
sure.
just to remind everybody,
Yeah.
And then maybe Leo will be a tiebreaker.
absolute
It's not gonna be.
heroes of the people. Felix from Paris, France. If real life
Yeah.
had to be mapped onto a PS4 controller, versus Alec from Situate, Massachusetts. Which games from these years were the most influential? I'm leading PS4 controller.
It's got to be PS4
Yeah,
controller.
I am too. That's it. It's over.
Wait,
we don't care what
Wait,
Kyle says.
can make a
No,
very
we don't
convincing
care.
case.
Yeah, controller, man. It's such a
Yeah.
weird question. Like, yeah.
I've never thought about it.
It's all I think about now.
Congratulations! There it is! Felix from Paris, France.
You did it, man.
Email of the year. Also, I mean, I'm glad we weren't factoring in locations too much here.
Yeah.
But it is wild to think about the fact that an international email won this thing after 95% were within the United States.
Paris
That
is better than the United States, it turns out.
And if you want to win next year, real life map to a Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Just ask that question.
That's perfect. Thank you so much to absolutely everybody that wrote in. We're going to officially clear the board. Hang on, I have to get this thing.
Just getting the thing.
oh, you're
Got
back.
it. Hello. Welcome back.
That's not where he's from.
That's
Now,
Paris,
where
France
is Paris, France on this map of the United States? This
it's
is
like
the smaller
over
zoomed in
here?
version, which we rarely show. But
Yeah.
we're also keeping track of it here. We might retire this for next year's because it's difficult to show, right? Right?
You know what? I
seems
think
like
you
it's
should
quite
just
easy.
buy new maps. You should not take anything out of there. You should just
Buy
keep an
new map?
archive. Yeah.
We have enough things archived. The
They
video
should just be
is the
everywhere.
archive,
There should be
Reiner.
maps everywhere.
I disagree. We gotta pick that sucker clean and give Paris, France, and Felix their due. Hell of a question. Podcast at GameInformer.com. Win next year. And Felix, we will ship something out to you. So get ready for something very good in your mailbox.
I hope it's very
or
heavy,
inbox.
too.
Oh my gosh. Hope you like weights. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show, everybody. Lou, you might want to kill that music because it interferes with like the outro
It's
music.
not a
and,
party anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. That's it. We'll be back next week. We'll be back in the office, ready to go, and we'll probably start talking about 2019. Because Reiner, let's do this whole cycle one more time.
Let's do it.
All
It
right,
is
video
2019.
games.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
This is a good year.
Thank you. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.